Best part's coming up here, I think. I almost clicked the wrong button. I almost clicked end stream.
Oh no, that would be the worst. What's
I
up?
think I did do that once. Hello everyone. Well, let me get so I can read the comments. The comment
Hello.
button is too close to the end stream button.
I know. I've done that before. Actually, my brother ended the stream while he was calling in from his phone, and I was
Yeah,
in the studio. It was horrible.
yeah. StreamYard, fix that if you're making us pay so much per month. Hello everyone. Thanks everyone for being here. Two members obviously are in Japano, as they pronounce it in Japan, and
Yeah.
they might be able to call in. They have the link. I think it's like 10 a.m. for them, something like that. Kind of
Yeah, and
crazy
they're gonna
about.
be at the con over there. So
Yeah, and it
depends
might
on
be it's like
if internet's
Saturday
good.
or Friday for them or something. But
Yeah, it'll be Friday. I guess it's Friday, but yeah, internet might be bad for them, so we might have some special guests. We'll see. But welcome to the show. We're back. We're holding down the fort here, pair.
hmm And I do have some stuff prepared. Not exactly a slideshow, but we're continuing the theme of plagiarizing other people's educational material. So we're gonna do
Yeah. Yeah, last week was a hit, I think. It's a
yeah,
pretty good one.
because there's plenty to learn from these people, these
Yeah, what do
old
they say?
masters.
Masters steal, and then everybody else cries about their stuff getting stolen. I
Yeah.
think that's a saying.
hmm Yes. So our week session can go super fast because we won't have those two slowing it down for hours. But
Yeah, they really now that you said it, Bear, I didn't want to be the one that said it, you know. I think the audience was thinking it.
how was your week? Feel free to take an hour if you want.
My week was good. I feel like it went quick. Still fulfilling books. I actually did an update for the campaign because we got some damaged books in, not of Psycho Slumber, but of the Kill Journal, which Adam had shipped from Critical Blast to us. And so some of the books were damaged. And so we had to hit up RJ at Critical Blast to ask for another shipment. So hopefully those are getting shipped out tomorrow, and I should have them over the weekend. Because that's like really the only thing we're waiting on are those. And then the signed copies from Doug Mankey, who did People That Got Signed Tiers, which wasn't many. So there's not a lot of people waiting for those. But and then today we ordered the shirts, so those are gonna ship separately, and then we're gonna do international. There's this whole update. So if you guys backed, check the updates. Has a little bit more info there. But people have been posting pictures of them getting the books, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much. It's so cool. And just doing a little writing here and there. And actually sent in for some proof copies of a secret thing that we're doing. Hopefully at HeroesCon we'll have copies of those. So that's something new for people that have been following us. That'll be at cons this year. And then there was one more thing. This weekend we're doing our first like free comic book day at a comic shop over here. So that's gonna be fun.
Nice.
We'll have a table selling stuff and drawing stick figures for people probably.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna try and find a way to publish a few short stories, maybe on what's the website everyone uses? Global Comics. And that's just like barely anything. Like, because people on Twitter can click on the link and read it. But I
Yeah,
think I'm gonna
definitely.
try and
Yeah,
do that.
Global Comics is great. Yeah, I actually got an email that because every I don't know month or so they send you an email. It's like, hey, you made money on Global Comics today, and then it lists out all the titles and however like the money you get for that. So that happens
Yeah,
too.
like 14 cents.
Yeah, it adds
It's like
up.
that for YouTube for me too. YouTube says I made $10 over the last year or something. And I'm like, great, where is it? Give it to me, YouTube. And they won't. They're just like, you get $10. I'm like, what is this carrot on a
Yeah, I
stick
think there's like a
bullshit?
threshold. Like you have to reach 30 for there to be a payout or something,
Yeah. They
or
didn't
they
tell me
hold it.
that when I signed up for it. Yeah.
Yeah, they hold it in escrow. Look, Vaughn Coleman's in the chat. What's up, Vaughn? Good to see
What's
you.
up, Vaughn? No Bunny says, if it's free, it's for me.
Hmm.
Student of God's here. John Snowden. How's
Yo.
it going, everyone? Yeah, and guys, speaking of that, that book. So, what's even next for you? Are you just writing stuff behind the scenes? You're gonna launch something sooner or later, this kind of thing, or?
Yes, yay, there it is. Yeah, I'm doing the Western, which I
I wasn't
am.
sure if that was secret, so I didn't say anything. I'm like, yeah, the
So
Western.
the title, you've read the first preview of it. The title's secret, the premise is secret. So everything you know about it is secret, but we've been showing pages and stuff. Oliver's been posting progress shots, and it's freaking so cool to work on. And it's kind of like I'm ahead of the game on that, where I'm writing the next chapter while he's working on the previous one. So he's on chapter 2. I'm writing chapter 3 right now, and I got a pretty cool flow with that. So yeah, that's depending on a bunch of things behind the scenes. That might be the next thing we're gonna do. But at the same time, my brother's also drawing Magic Cop 3. So right now we're like, this is like the busiest we've been with projects in production.
Yeah,
I've gotten to a point where it's like, I just want to put this, do this stuff. It's like with the Western, we have the Lost Pages, which is a long running series already on volume 3, but I had the Western idea in my head for so long. I'm like,
that
I
you
gotta
got bored
pace.
of it. That happens to me too. Just kidding.
I didn't get bored. I was like so excited where I'm like, I have to see this drawn. Like
Yeah.
it's time that I gotta pay someone to work on this. Yo, look at this guy.
Hey,
Hey,
what's up?
and girl.
What's
Hello.
the one? Konnichiwa, konnichiwa.
Hey, your connection isn't even that bad. Yeah, nice job. You're learning your Japanese.
We're spending a lot of money
Yes.
to be on stream.
That's
with
not
you guys
good.
Right now.
We got the
Oh,
we got the
You guys
super
appreciate
special Chris abroad in Japan 50 gigabyte super sim. But yeah,
Super Sim. Yeah.
For
I don't know
internet.
how long. Yeah, we're gonna use up all 50 gigabytes in like 2 minutes. But yes,
A
sorry.
limited
is this like
connection,
this
but
is
hold
Elon
on,
Musk
we're-
technology?
Yeah,
I
Starlink.
wish.
We're stalling.
Yeah, we're Starlink.
There's a
you.
Starlink beam coming right
It's
down from space through our brain.
Yeah, if only.
Yeah, it's Staro Linko.
Hey, look, I've got. I'm last minute. Look, I'm wearing the gloves so people don't get fingerprints all over it. I'm getting the Nippon special packages, hand numbered again,
Wow.
like last time. I'm wondering if this was a bit much, but yeah. I just wanted to show them off. Look, this time they have a little sticker with the numbers on. I've done like this many. I started doing them from the front numbers, and then I realized the people who have throbbing packages need the front numbers. So I can just do them later. I just do them in reverse order. It's all reverse order.
I'm
Look.
still scrambling to organize the table because everything is a mess, but
Did you guys just get there?
We got here
right,
like
this
an
is
hour
the first
ago.
day of the con, so we got here like an hour ago. I've got these mini prints that are double-sided, printed in Japan.
Where's Chatu?
What time
Hello,
is it by you?
Chatu. Oh,
Is
it has
true
to.
that it's noon?
Wah, wah.
We can't see.
We
Chatu.
can't see chat, so chat, I hope you're enjoying this. I know this is
This is. Look, we got
It's a
some
cool
prints.
banner.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
Look at
check
that.
out the free cover banner.
Here's a banner. I posted a picture on Twitter. but
Oh yeah,
the
people
team
are saying in
also
the chat, nice
printed-
banner, by the way.
Yeah, it's brand new. I got it printed just for this con. Rush jobbed it. It's just in time. And here's the Japanese edition of Fiendish 1 that I realize I haven't shown off on stream yet. But here you go. Look,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
small. It's a mini version.
Oh, okay, it's like manga size.
Here's the American version. Here you go.
Oh,
yeah.
Look,
That's
it's
dope.
little.
Side by side.
Very little. And Jake has an old ass 2003
Yeah, what
video
decade
cam
is
thing
this?
that he's been filming everything with. But yeah.
oh, that's fun. Jake, you know what you got to do with that? Upload all the footage, play it at 10x speed with like Beastie Boys music over it, and then you're done.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like and you gotta whenever you cut, you have to do like that additive glow bursts. Like,
Yeah. And then it slows down to regular speed once in a while when someone's close to the camera and they deliver one line. They say something, and then it speeds up again.
yes.
Fair, you brought your
But yeah,
camera to Tampa,
welcome.
but you never like released any of those pictures. What happened to those Tampa pictures, Pear?
I had footage, and I have I actually have it. I could play it now, but we'll play it later because I don't know how long. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know
he
if they
made a
can see
little
it.
video.
Yeah,
I think Phil means
remember
the
that.
secret photo, the secret video.
Yeah, those photos.
The
yeah, and I
actual
didn't.
video.
I'm bad at still photography. I should get better at that, but I just do video.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a local community theater, and I do all their marketing trailers. And I could actually show you guys one I made this week, but it's so bad, but it's awesome. I'll show you the first 10 seconds. We'll do it
Okay,
later
I got
though.
the phone.
We'll do it
I got
live.
the phone up so I can see the
I
chat.
got the phone chat. I'm standing up to try and look welcoming and beckon people to our
Yes,
table.
Jake are the
Oh my
tallest
God.
person at the con. You're not far off. There's a bunch
There's
of
a
Americans
few
here.
foreigners here too.
Yeah, there's.
They're not called foreigners, they're called expatriates. Use the cool word.
That is cool.
Expats.
Is
Shorten
that
it.
You're only an expat if you live overseas full time, like my dad.
Nuh-uh. You guys
Yeah,
are expats
and
now
they're
too.
called expatriates.
We're not
No, you're all
expats.
expats.
We don't-
We're all expats.
How does the con
Okay, we're all expats.
feel?
Hopefully,
How does the con feel compared to a convention you're used to going to, Jake?
because this is a Comic-Con, it's kind of similar.
To an American con?
I mostly spoke to Americans, except for Future
Yeah.
Man.
Future Man, yeah.
Future Man.
Yeah, it's like an American con, except it's nicer because, as you can see, we have electricity, and we have this. See the black board that's around. You can see it to the side of my banner. They give you this backdrop, like a gallery show thing. They also do this in South American cons, at least the big ones. And I'm like, all the conventions outside of the U.S. give you better stuff than the cons in the U.S. And cons
So
in
you
the
like
U.S. are
hang
like,
stuff
here's
up
a
on
shade
that,
table and chair.
that backboard? You could hang things
Yeah,
up?
I don't even I have this giant banner, but you can just cover it with poster prints, which a lot of people are doing.
Yes.
And you don't need a banner because you have a backdrop, right? It just visually looks so much better.
And
But I
we
have this fancy.
heard they were thinking, how do we save money on the show? Maybe we get rid of the backdrops, and then it was like, no,
Yeah,
we must
everybody
keep the backdrops.
everybody said don't do that.
Phil, which side is your earring on?
It's gone.
No way. You let them influence you?
Gone.
Yeah. It was the left side, my left.
I was gonna take off the glove on the earring. I was gonna have a glove only on earring side, the Michael Jackson glove.
Michael Jackson glove.
Oh
I
no!
appreciate the
What
solidarity.
happened? Did someone steal it? I was about to become one with you, Phil.
Your
Yeah,
social
someone ran
pressure.
past me and ripped it off.
Phil, you
It's not
got to
just
get a
us,
new
I'm
one.
the
Get a
best.
dangly, super dangly one of a cross.
Yeah, that's what I had. No, it was
Oh
only
shit,
for-
you did have that.
It was a cross. Yeah, it was only for Lent, guys. It was my
Oh.
Lent thing. You know?
That's actually kind
It
of
was
legit.
only
Yeah.
for the Easter period. Wait, you should have taken it off on like Good Friday and then put it back on Easter
Right, Christ is
Monday.
risen now.
Exactly. Hello, chat. I hope we aren't derailing the show.
No, we're in the week section. We thought we were gonna
talking about-
not hear your guys' hour-long week tirades, but we can go into that now. You can tell us about
Yeah, we just started.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the trip. How's it going?
It's been great. The weather has been beautiful, and then today it was rainy, so
Yeah.
we had to get the convenience store umbrellas. Luckily, see, in this country they sell umbrellas like all over the place. In England, a similarly rainy place, no umbrellas for sale. I go to the jazz hands as much as possible with the gloves.
So there's a little culture
Yeah,
shock. Like they're into umbrellas, they're into gloved hands. Yes.
Yeah, what's
Well,
up with the glove?
So they're very orderly, and there's etiquette like don't be allowed asshole on the trains.
Yeah.
So I felt myself becoming more robotic.
There's a lot of etiquette, and you kind of just instinctually do what everyone else is doing, which is be very quiet and prim. And I mean, it's just being considerate of others, right? It's like when you eat at a convenience store, everyone cleans up after themselves. You don't even leave the chairs. Like the convenience stores here have everything, and they have little seating areas too, and you don't even leave the chairs the way differently than you found them. You push them back in, you clean up your crumbs,
and you make sure to face the table while sitting at the table. There's even a sign, and it's in Chinese.
It's in Chinese, not Japanese. So Jake was facing away from the table, and then I'm like, there's a sign there specifically in Chinese, because I wonder why, that says face the table when you eat.
Yeah, sitting at crumbs all over the floor.
Yeah. That's when you need to take the chair, turn it around, and then sit on it backwards facing the table like a cool kid.
That would be the...
Yeah.
That's like conformist rebel.
Yeah, that would annoy the crap out of whoever made the sign.
Okay.
That's a really funny sign though. Like that sign would never be in America. That's a really funny thing to have written on a sign.
And specifically in China.
There's so many tiny little signs everywhere, and a lot of them have photos on them. So like a photo of some rubbish that was left somewhere, and it's like, do not leave litter.
Yeah.
It is bad.
In like
10,000
this
yen fine.
elevator, there were pictures of like people leaving their litter outside the elevator and stuff, and they were like, there was a sign just like, don't do that. This is not good. So it's just little signs everywhere telling people off. I hope you can hear us because it's starting to get loud.
You know what's really hilarious about this show?
Oh, go on.
Okay, what's really hilarious is, so there's an artist here that I like, and it's the one I made the shirts of. And I'm like, I wonder if they'll be here. Right next to them. They're right there.
Really?
Oh, cool.
That's
fun.
Favorite artist.
So I can Yes.
Reek.
Well, you should say his name out loud within the eardrops.
I'll definitely
why is he saying my name?
Because we're big fans, especially me.
That's it. Now I gotta
right.
wait a few hours until I walk over now. That's been...
Oops.
Did we talk about...
I'm here to help.
Did we talk to you guys yet about how I want to become a drug addict in this stage of my life? I think we've talked about it in the past.
No, I thought you already were.
I think you're in the right state for that, right?
I quit everything and I've been sober for like 5 years, but I was thinking about microdosing acid, but I'm kind of too lazy to like find a drug dealer. So I was talking to my friend about this. I was like, I want to do drugs, man. I'm fucking sick of being sober.
Well, the thing about acid, is it never leaves your system, and that's what flashbacks are. So if you were gonna start like indulging in a drug, probably skip the acid. I think maybe a safer psychedelic is microdosing shrooms.
Oh yeah.
But like,
honestly, maybe something like that. I might dabble. But let me just say, so I was talking to my friend and he's like, bro, Zyn 3 milligram coffee flavored. Zyn is like nicotine pouches that you put in your lower lip.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I'm into it. I fucking love nicotine. And the guy's dad was there and he's like, only study they ever did for any drug ever that nicotine actually improves brain function. It's proven scientifically, the only drug to ever do that. I was like, what?
I would say if you've reached this stage in your life and you've actually built skills, drugs are like for when you're young and you want to shake up the neurons a bit. That's how I see them. Like if you've actually built a skill and you have some kind of functioning order that works, I don't know if shaking the neurons up a little bit's gonna help. Caleb Reynolds in the chat is dotting. He's saying I got no idea. I can imagine Caleb is on acid all the time.
Yeah.
Just don't do too much weed and turn into like a psychopath. I think some people have psychological breaks on weed and they turn into like murderers. Very rarely.
Weed is not on my list. My list is like, Ritalin. I was thinking Ritalin, dude. What if I just like pop mad Ritalin? What do you guys think about that? What does that one do? I forget what that one does.
Go
Makes
to
you
the pump
focus.
track and find one of the kids that is being misprescribed Ritalin. And do him a favor by taking it from him.
Ritalin is like
and then you can have it.
It makes you focus. It's like meth, right? It makes you clean your house and get super focused, hyper focused on things. And see, it's like meth.
Oh,
and
meth.
People in fighting game tournaments will take Ritalin so their reactions are faster and shit, and they start like outlawing that. Like if you're a pro gamer, you can't take those. Are considered performance enhancing drugs.
The best drug of all is MDMA, though. No, that
Yeah,
I mean, I heard.
that one's okay. Yeah.
Let's talk about drugs in
If you want to
this country where
sweat a
drugs
lot
are-
and hump your couch.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
they're really illegal
schwitz.
here.
I'm into the schwitzing. But no. So I was walking yesterday. I was walking to go watch the Lakers game. The Lakers got eliminated, by the way, and I was devastated.
Damn.
But so they're not even in the playoffs. It's crazy. But I was walking, and on the sidewalk, there was a $5 bill folded up with some ones in there. It looked like it could have been 2 5s. I immediately got like really nervous. I look around. I'm like, "Is this a trap?" I kick it. I touch
Did
it
you check if
daintily.
there's fentanyl on it?
Yeah. I check all that stuff, and I picked it up super daintily. See if there's shit on it. See if there's anything in it. It ended up being $7. I look around, nobody's here, so I put it in my pocket. I'm like, I guess I'll take it. I don't want this money, but I guess I'll take it. So I put it in my pocket, and then I was walking by a gas station, and on the outside, it's a regular gas station, but they have a big sign that says, "We have tasty Indian food inside," and it smells like curry, but it's a regular gas station. So I go in, and there's a bunch of Indian guys there.
Like.
Yeah. And I'm like, this gas station is cool. And I'm like, I wonder if they have 3 milligram coffee flavored Zen. And I look, and they do. And I was like, I'll take one 3 milligram coffee flavored Zen. And he's like, that'll be $6.50. And I was like, here's $7. Keep the change. So then I traded that free money for my Zen, and I haven't popped one yet. I've had it for 2 days. I'm really scared to pop a Zen.
Isn't it just like dip, but it's like pouch dip, right?
Yeah. I used to do dip a fair amount back in my 20s, and it was kind of fun.
What is dip? What is dip?
It's chewing tobacco.
Yeah, and it's it's got fiberglass in it, so it cuts your lip and
gives
injects
you lip cancer because of all the wound. So I would imagine that Zen is much better than old school chewing tobacco because of that. I
hear dip is popular, I guess, as a stress reliever, because like every time the stock market crashes, I hear people saying buy the dip. So I guess the stress of losing all your money, if you chew tobacco, it helps. Is that?
Yeah, that's a pretty good pun. That's okay. Give that 5 out of 10.
It's not too labored.
Yeah.
That's a
I have a buddy that zens it up all the time.
Well, Red is like,
let me know how
can you be around kids? Yes, I think so.
I don't think Jake can legally say
shekels.
Jake can't legally talk about drugs in Japan. I think that's a felony over there.
If we say hashtag not disavow or something out loud.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, try to talk as minimally as possible in public.
Good.
And they even have lines on the floor that tell you where to walk.
Really?
It's great. And then it's like, but then sometimes the rules go completely out the window because you'll be walking in the way you're supposed to, and then a cyclist will run into the back of you.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of cyclists, and they aim for you basically. So that's nice.
Huh. I was going to say it sounds fascist, but the cyclists are balancing it out. That's nice.
Look, nothing wrong with a little bit of fascism. There's good fascism and bad fascism.
Yeah. I think maybe you're onto something there. Yeah.
And being polite is fascism.
Yeah, did you Judge Dredd? Those comics were sick.
I forgot what number I was on. 50.
Oh yeah. What's is it called? Mega City? What's it even called?
Mega City 1. Yeah, it's dope.
Yeah, that's what we need. We just need every city to be like that.
Mega Cities.
Mega City? What's Mega City?
One day.
That's the cyberpunk city, I think.
Oh.
From Judge Dredd.
People dressed as robots.
You're British, Jake. How do you not know Judge Dredd?
Is Judge Dredd a robot?
No.
Is
He's a
RoboCop
man.
is RoboCop a robot?
We're not real comic fans because we don't know if Judge Dredd is a robot.
Is RoboCop more primarily a robot or a cop?
Robot. for
Both. It's in the name. Equal parts, right?
Yeah, they aren't mutually exclusive.
How it works.
51.
So is the con open now?
What's the topic?
Hey, here's a
Yeah,
trivia for you.
talking about?
If someone says this line, he's more machine now than man. Is that from RoboCop or not?
That's from Johnny Short Circuit 2.
Oh, that would be funny. Yeah, I like that.
Irene has seen the first Short Circuit now.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Sorry.
I haven't seen that one, Irene. You've gone too far.
Yeah, that's too. He's.
You need to unsee some
How have you
movies.
not seen- As a kid, Short Circuit was the S. I'm not gonna
Maybe
start
in
public here.
Britland, but not in Mercan.
Yeah, not over here.
25 is alive. And yeah, you had like an Indian programmer friend.
Johnny Five is alive. Alex knows.
Well, yeah, Johnny Five is great. No, but like Wally just totally ripped off Johnny Five's design. Okay, 51,
More
52.
people know Wally now.
Oh shit! I just numbered one wrong. I'm going in reverse order. I have two 52s now.
You can
Wow,
make that a
what a
three.
failure.
Guess no, because I
Or
need to
an
go
eight.
down.
Or an eight.
No, I've already got 58. This needs to be 50.
Maybe you should
You got to make it
concentrate on what you're doing.
85
What?
now. To make it 85.
Guys, who wants 52 crossed out and then it's 50? Would someone
one.
want that?
Someone
Or
pay
that'd be
extra?
fine,
Yeah.
It's
Does that add value?
it's happening live on the show. I will. So I think it's okay because it's like context. The value of art is context. Now, so look, this is 52.
This is cope.
I'm gonna
No.
52.
Cross out the 52 and put 69 part 2. Something like that. And then
I'm not doing that. I'm putting.
you're
this
taking
as
value from the original 69.
I'm taking value from the 69 that will be auctioned. Okay.
What if there were
crossing-
like, there's actually like 169s?
Man, I wish it. Yeah, but then you can only auction one. So what would be point? It'd be like a print run printing 99 books that you can't sell because
They just all become 69 number 1, 69 number 2,
Would you have
69 number
whiteout?
3. Then you need 69 number 69.
Okay, look. Embiggen.
Oh, yeah,
Man.
sorry.
Blow him up.
Yeah, wait. I lost my mouse on my screen.
So you go, look. It's 52 crossed out and it's number 50 live. Now it's worth like $100.
So if
What?
anyone's watching this, they'd be like, "Oh, I know that was the one that Jake held up." Yeah.
That was
It's
the
been
one
on
he fucked
TV.
up and then lampshaded the fuck up with a joke, and now I had to pay too much for it.
Yes.
I guess I should focus.
I wanted to shout out
I'm
Amanda
debating
B.
standing up and
You should definitely stand up whilst the camera's on.
It's Amanda B's birthday today, so happy birthday, Amanda B.
Oh, Amanda B, happy birthday.
She's not in the chat. I don't know.
It's your birthday. Brr, brr, brr.
I knew that. I was just saying it aloud.
49.
Shout out
People
to
know I
Snarky
can't
Tom, who's
count
about to
anyway,
go take a
so-
shower. Shout out. And
Yeah.
Are we
Rest in
plagiarizing
peace.
Chuck Dixon's blog this week?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, last week was the 10 Commandments from Jake Parker or whatever.
yeah,
This one is the 10 Commandments from Chuck Dixon. Everyone's doing their 10 Commandments. I think we got to do our 10 Commandments, maybe.
maybe when like in 15 or 20 years. This is from 2015. This is 10 years ago. He wrote these 10 Commandments. So
Yeah,
he's
and
got-
I had a feeling he might have known him before that. I don't know, but maybe not. But
yeah.
maybe he did.
Yeah, shout out
Um,
to Chuck Dixon. Watch. the
Yeah,
show.
and you know, is the story of the 10 Commandments, is it Moses who even does it? Moses
Yeah,
does
Moses.
Yeah,
it?
he came
And
down from a mountain after smoking some bush.
Yeah, the burning bush talks to him, and then he gets the tablets. Does he carve the tablets? Chat, let me know. Or do they just are they carved from like lightning and he just picks them up?
Yeah, I think it's lightning.
And then
Isn't that the second time he talks to a burning bush?
no, Jesus has an experience in the desert with like maybe a bush.
Yeah, but
and the devil and
earlier
stuff.
in Moses' life, he talks to a bush, and that's when he gets the call to be like the sheep herder of the Jewish people out of Egypt.
Hey, look who's here. Bancroft.
Speaking of the Jewish
Thou
people
shalt
out of
not
Egypt,
goon.
Do you know anything
Oh,
about
bloody hell.
Moses and
There were
Bankrupt.
actually, yeah.
Oh,
No.
no, go on. Sorry.
What's up? I was just gonna say, yeah, that he came down. He went up to the Mount Sinai and he came down and he noticed everyone fornicating and worshiping idols. So he smashed the commandments. And then they had to convince him to go back up there, and he was like, "Can I get another set, please, to God?" So then he
is
did
that real? That's awesome.
That's real. And
Yeah.
there's actually lots of commandments that everyone just talks about the 10, but there are so many, and they're all about what fabrics you can wear and
Oh yeah. Do they all start with thou?
Wait,
Probably.
are those?
I don't know.
But are those direct commandments, or is that like the entire Moses part of the Bible, where it's like, if you do this wrong, you need to sacrifice this?
well, the 10
unleavened
commandments are
bread?
the first ones. They're the most important ones. Yeah, the others are just like guidelines.
Yeah. Cool.
I have something that Bancroft must explain, for I have been confused by it. I saw this waiting for a train.
Kangaroo balls.
what?
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
He knew
you-
immediately.
I think some guy had. Is this a thing? Do you have kangaroo?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
keychains?
Yeah. If you go to any souvenir shop in Australia, you can get both kangaroo balls or kangaroo like coin sacks, which are like the scrotum in a coin sack.
But it's real. It's not just like a gag thing.
It's 100% real kangaroo scrot.
Yeah.
Rubles.
Runa.
Here you
Dale
go.
A says, I think God made Moses chisel out the commandments himself the second time.
Yeah.
See, that's funny. Like the Bible's kind of funny. I think that's cool. There's
Here it is.
good stuff in there. Let me make you big. Hold on.
We got Mount Sinai.
Oh yeah.
You got the calf, the fornication that Bancroft
Mhm.
spoke about in detail.
Is that Baal?
Yeah, maybe.
Look, he's smashing them.
Yeah, see, back in the real day, and you notice in early on in the Bible, God is talking like he's just one of many. He's like, I'm the vengeful God, I'm this God, and I'm a jealous God of other gods and stuff like that. And that doesn't make sense because if there's only one God. But then he drops the hammer and he's like, no, I am the only God. And then later on, when Jesus is around, it's like monotheism.
Yeah, I'm more of a New Testament guy. See, Moses, to punish the people, he melts down the golden calf, it grinds it up into a powder, then puts the gold into the river and makes them drink the gold water to cleanse them.
Oh man, I didn't know any of this. I want to read the Action Bible.
They're like, drink it? It's like, yes, you fools, drink this. You'll be damned.
Wait, that's not the actual Bible.
It is. It's the Action Bible by Sergio Corello.
Oh, yeah, like Yahweh was like God's original name, and Yahweh was just one of the gods down there. They had a bunch of them, and he was Israel's because each city had their own god, and he was Israel's god. And within the whole pantheon, he was like God of the sea or whatever, and he wasn't the highest up. He's one of the brothers, and then the highest guy was like, shit, I can't think of his name.
Does it have the Phil? Does it have the moment when he came down and hand wrestled someone?
What does that mean? Hand wrestled?
Like he came down in physical form and wrestled with someone.
God?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't gotten that far yet. What would that be
This
called?
is still starting a little far fetched to
can't
me.
remember who he
I mean, I was
wrestled.
okay with the resurrection and stuff, but arm wrestling.
Yeah. God's a bro. I'll
Yeah.
have to look that up.
Oh, it was an angel. Okay, it was an angel. It wasn't God. It was an angel. There you go. Misremembering with Jacob. Still, that's pretty impressive. Angel wrestling.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool
Yeah,
too.
Some of the
Would you
oldest
guys-
sport.
Would you guys arm wrestle an angel? What do you
As
think
long
would
as you've
happen
got the
when you
right
lose?
technique.
Yeah, just
Is there
lean
a
in so you
topic tonight, or is it just
There
just
is.
shooting?
There's.
It's on the screen. It's this little drawing of Chuck Dixon holding tablets.
It's who can we play? Last week was great, by the way. Last week's show was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
It definitely proved that we should just steal from other people.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah,
definitely.
The
we're
best way to
stealing
do
from
it.
Chuck Dixon tonight.
Always. Should we get into the commandments, Mr. Pear?
Sure. Yeah, so I'll just start reading them. They're simple. This might go fast, but I skimmed it and I was like, I do think some of these can open up bigger conversations. So one says, open strong, get your story off and running. Sounds so simple, but that is great. Obviously, the story doesn't do that.
Yeah, splash
Um,
page. Someone dying
actually-
right on the first page.
Yeah, and let's look at. I have Psycho Slumber here too, so let's look how Psycho Slumber starts. Does it start strong? Let's see if you follow the commandments. It starts. Actually, this is. I noticed, Phil. This was something I was going to mention. Is because it's a crossover, it kind of has an obligatory start that it needs to have, where you establish the crossover. You know what I mean? And then you can kind of start having fun. So
Open strong. I love that.
yeah.
It's like just do it, you know?
Yeah, so in a sense, getting the obligatory crossover section out of the way is opening strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reading, before we go any further, I was reading more of interactivity this week.
Did it?
My book
is it
about writing.
Did you have an interactivity epiphany, Phil?
Yeah, it's good. I'm not done yet or halfway through, but I'm like, why doesn't Pear just do a series of streams on these points? But then I'm like,
Because then people wouldn't buy the book.
Then what's
buy the-
what's the point of people buying the book? But yeah, but there's good stuff in here that could totally be its own show within itself, like, you know, chapters.
You could do an online course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like Jake Parker does.
Make the real
yeah,
buck.
maybe one day. I need more clout. I was thinking about teaching at a community college here if they would take me, but I don't know
Cool.
if I even want to do that. But I would try and just teach that book. I'd be like, here, kids, buy my book on Amazon.
Yeah, that's required reading for the semester.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and all your
required
friends too.
reading.
Buy it for all your friends too, and then yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, but you know, I did stream about it a lot in the early days, kind of when I was writing it, and I read a lot of it out loud, just to me to like 5 people. Dale A was
Yeah.
one of them, and but I have one video, Phil. You should check it out on my channel. There's one video called like interactivity with Marlon Brando, I think, and that is a really good companion piece to the book that'll help. You
I'll
read the
look it up
book,
right
you
now.
watch that video, then everything hits.
And it's funny, when I read it, I read the words in your voice as you were reading the script for your Matrix video. It's like that, just like Pear voice. I'm like, that's
Oh yeah, my YouTube voice.
yeah,
You're like, oh yeah.
yeah. And you like speak really quickly and stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I haven't read it yet. I still have to read it. I feel like I would really like it, but I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah. You already do
Have
a
I
lot
not
of it.
raved?
So.
Phil, have we not raved enough? Even Phil's gonna start raving about it now.
Well, you know what? Just like what Pear just said. Every time someone talks about it, like, oh yeah, I think the same way. So I'm like, and I know that's not a reason not to read it. There will be something to learn in it, obviously, but I feel like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I read it a couple of weeks ago. I read it like once a year because I'm like, I can't forget this shit.
Yeah, but that's the thing too, right? With
How's
like
it going?
tips on creating or
Where it gets
like
crowded.
thematical ideas you want to hit. It's like you
I think
can't
so, 'cause
always
it's rare.
remember all of those tips every time
Mm.
you're creating something, you know?
Yeah, I have a Bible. It's actually just a text file, but it's got just
At least
random
I hope so.
tips, random thoughts, random things I've picked up or heard or whatever, just
Yeah.
like this sort of stuff. And I just keep it in a thing so I can read through it, whenever
Yeah.
I need to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have this here, and whenever one of you guys say something, that I'm like, oh shit, I gotta remember that. I'll just write it in here.
Oh, nice.
But as you
Long
can
way,
see,
but, I have family
there's
in Taiwan, so
it's just a bunch of empty pages, so I haven't written anything down yet. But I'm like,
Yeah.
You need to watch my show more, Phil. It's so many nuggets in there.
Oh yeah, I do have a page for you, and it's just the word next over and over again when I watch your shows.
Or refer to the ether.
Yeah,
That's all you need.
I kind of want to show you guys the first 10 seconds of the trailer for the local community theater that I made. So
I'm
let me
excited.
see. Before you guys talk amongst yourselves for 1 second here. Let me see if I can. Oh, and by the way, sorry, Jake. Sorry, Rini was talking to guests and it was picking up, so I muted you.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'll turn it off until we have something significant to say myself. That's okay.
Okay, so you can run
It
your
will
own
be
mic,
loud.
but yeah,
up to the
cool.
parents.
Yeah.
You guys can take a look.
What is Jake doing right now?
He's I don't know. He's
He
got the
seems to
gloves
be
on.
He's preparing.
packing.
Oh,
I'm putting all of the. I'm creating the packet. I'm numbering live. I fucked one up. I wrote 52 a second time, and so now number 50 has 52 crossed out, and then it says 50. But look, they're all in their bags. I'm wearing the white gloves. I'm hand doing it again. They all have a flyer in the back. But yeah, I'm trying to. Whilst it's quiet, I'm trying to get a lot of them done. Because obviously I'm going to sell so many.
We're gonna sell. Clearly,
I'm
we're
going to
gonna
sell
sell
so many.
out of everything.
I'm going to
Because
sell all
I mean,
69.
our stuff is just so hot.
It's early.
I'm already grumpy.
Oh
But I
no!
did sell books. I did sell books, so I'm happy about that.
Did you guys eat
Yeah, you
breakfast?
sold a whole set.
Yeah, I sold a whole set. I'm just annoyed because it's raining. But yeah.
Why
least we're
has God
selling.
forsaken
We are
us?
selling.
All right.
so
Did
that's
you guys get those
Over the convention.
jiggly pancakes? The jiggly Japanese pancakes. Have you had them yet?
The thick pancake? Not yet.
You need to, and send me a picture of them when you get them. All right.
I wish I could go to
I
Japan.
will.
It
I'll make
seems
sure of
very
it.
cool.
It's
No,
it's
those are
very
pretty cool.
orderly, but it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll show you one other cool thing. So the restaurants here, I'll pull up some photos. I was gonna send them. I have no time. I'll just share them on the phone. The restaurants make models of the food that they serve, like plated up, and they have them in the windows of the restaurant.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have
Uh,
places that do that here too, like Korean and Japanese places that have little models. Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's
You
a
got the
Japanese market over
models.
here. They do that, and it's weird because it's like, what is that made of?
It's all dusty.
What the
It's
hell
so
is that? These are not dusty. These were nice and clean. This was like at a nice mall where there was like a million gacha machines. Here's a cool one. Look at this. I just thought it was amazing. It looks so cool. And like me, as Johnny Foreigner, I'd be like, oh, I'll just pick that one. That looks cool. I'll get that set.
Is that what they call you, Johnny Foreigner?
Yeah.
No, I think that's what British people can. It's like a way they call themselves when they're on holiday. Johnny Foreigner. Wait, look at this. Imagine being able to order that massive pile of fried chicken. Ah.
Hey,
Wow.
okay, I'm gonna share this video, but I have to share the screen. I think if you guys talk, it might echo. Just FYI, so everyone be quiet for a little bit,
All right.
and then I'm gonna play it. I think it's only like 20 seconds that I want to show you guys, so it's not too long. And then I'm gonna stop it. Okay, so that's what's about to happen. Okay, so let me see. Did it pop up here? Okay.
Can somebody please help me?
Okay, that's it.
I love
Short.
Clue.
Yeah. But the beginning was the fun part, I guess.
We call that. Is that the game?
Yeah.
We call that Cluedo.
I missed it. Play it again.
Cluedo.
Cluedo, as in with a D-O at the end. We don't just
Oh,
call
weird.
it Cluedo.
Yeah, it's that in the UK too. Like Clue. Okay, like what? Get a clue.
It sounds. It actually. Now that I bring it up, it sounds kind of Australian. Cluedo. You know.
Cluedo makes no sense. Clue is a thing you find that leads you for a revelation of investigation. Does that not make sense to you?
Jose
I know
Garcia
what-
says Ed Wood vibes. That's the Ed Wood is the worst director of all time. That's funny. Yeah.
I'm
telling you. Yeah.
Wait, what about the movie Clue? Michael Bancroft, have you seen it with Tim Curry?
No.
What?
No.
Is it called Cluedo down there? Or is it called Clue?
Who's in it?
What? Tim Curry.
All right, let me have a look.
Tim
Oh, you haven't
Curry,
seen the movie? It's kind of famous.
that?
But so it was the Parker Brothers, because I was confused at what came first. But the Parker Brothers game came first, I think, before even the movie.
Of course.
Then
yeah.
the movie came, and it for some reason that it was a hit. It's fun, and
Who else is
then
in
now it's a
Clue?
play. It's a community theater play.
The dad from Beetlejuice is in Clue. He's also the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
Is he? Maybe I'm confusing them.
Cluedo.
he's not.
Yes.
I'm-
Voodoo.
I just Googled it, and
He's not
the
in it.
Google AI says yes. In Australia, the adaptation was called Cluedo.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. I'm confusing
never
him with
heard of
Colonel
it.
Mustard, who was the principal from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah, go watch that movie, Michael. You'll love it. Just
I do like Cluedo. Or Clue.
the movie's a comedy classic. It's good.
And I do like Tim Curry too.
Yeah, he's
Who
good.
doesn't?
Yeah, that French maid though, John Snowden. He knows what's up.
Yeah.
Do you like the film, Pair?
I maybe got to watch it again. I think I didn't love it the first time. I
Oh
was
my god.
maybe expecting too much or something.
There's 3 different endings.
Oh, see, that's what I don't like about it. Like, how can it be a good mystery if there's 3 different endings? It means anyone. I guess that's the game. Anyone could have killed anyone.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
when it came out in theaters, each theater like they'd mix up which ending you'd get. But then if you watch it now, they run all 3 of them right after another.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's one thing I didn't like either was I had to watch 3 endings.
Deathbringer says in Canada it was also called Cluedo. Wow.
Yeah, so
So
it's just
only
in
in
the States
America.
called Clue.
Wow.
Okay. Are you ready? I think we're only on the second commandment here.
We are, but I think they're still sharing audio with echoing.
Oh, okay. Hold on. 3%.
What's up, Tex Zombie? See you.
What's up, everyone? Yeah, so number 2. So this is me. I got mad because you guys were talking about Cluedo, so I smashed all the commandments. And then I had to go back up to Chuck Dixon and ask him to make them again, but he made me make it up myself, and I kind of forgot. You know, that happened in the Book of Mormon has a similar story. He does the gold plates, and then he has to do it twice because
And they're different. And they're like, well, doesn't that show that it's no? It's that was
yeah.
quite
So
fun.
anyway, they kind of took that from Moses, maybe.
This one is funny, the essential dialogue one, because I was just watching a movie on this. A video on this yesterday. It's pretty good too. And he said, which kind of goes against this, because if you think about it, Tarantino his movies are almost all dialogue. You know, he has huge like swathes of dialogue all the time, and they're still good. They're great.
Yeah.
You know? So
It's dialogue and feet. That's the primary ingredients: dialogue and feet.
Yeah.
this guy said that the dialogue itself doesn't matter. Anyone can polish dialogue. What matters is the subtext, and that you've got, you know, everything that's being unsaid, unspoken is there in the story, and you know, in the characters' actions and what they're doing and how they're saying it and everything. And then as long as you've got that subtext, the tension and everything, it'll be there. It looks like, oh, that's actually pretty interesting. I do like, especially in comics, I do like to just like trim everything out as much as I possibly can, because you know, there is a different thing in comics. You can't just have text walls.
Right.
It doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I think earlier in my career, I was trying to be more like movies, and I would be like, well, you might have a scene if you want like a Tarantino-esque scene, you can do it, but it would have to be like 20 pages,
Right.
and
Exactly.
nothing happens except people talk. And you could still maybe do it good, but it's like that's 20 pages to draw, that's 20 pages to print, and then the book, you know, however long the book is in the trade, you kind of need stuff to happen in like
Yeah,
120
and in a
pages or whatever.
Tarantino film, you'll get like 1 minute of silence of just, you know, like a
Right.
guy's eyes as he's like, you know, staring and stuff. So
Yeah.
it
And
doesn't quite
to Chuck's credit, I think that's why he's saying here the only essential dialogue is because of that pacing and how you have only so much real estate in a comic page and in a comic issue. That's why we tend to cut that fat out in comic book storytelling.
If you did a Tarantino-esque dialogue scene in a comic, it would come up off as the most obnoxious shit. Like when it's like it's as if the writer loves the smell of their own farts. If you did that writing, you find it sometimes. Oh, they're doing a character that's edgy, and they go on these long monologues.
Didn't Bendis kind of do that? I don't know. Or no.
Sure, he's known
Anyone?
for
and in comics you sort of read in your own voice a lot, so it doesn't sound as cool, you know.
Yeah, you've got to do the acting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's true. If you're just reading, so it is the strengths of comics. Comics can do like little gags and stuff, but I noticed like with Mark Miller and his dialogue, he'll have Tarantino-esque dialogue, but it's only for like an exchange. It's not for 20 exchanges, you know.
Yeah, like a whole scene.
Yeah. Crenshaw has a good question. Would essential dialogue include non-story moving dialogue, but it sets up character's personality? Interesting question. It's like, what if you only achieve that? Does that justify its existence? Because usually we try to do both, I guess, a lot of times. But I think it would include. It would work.
Yeah, like you're saying, like both would be something that furthers the plot, but also furthers the character development and dialogue. And comics, that kind of stuff is your kind of like important shortcuts to kind of move both areas at the same time. You know, sometimes you probably could have moments that is just for character building, which could definitely be essential to your story as well. Like if you look at like a lot of the Claremont X-Men stuff, character moments wise, like he just throws a lot, like there's just a lot of dialogue just in those single issues of his run.
Yeah, to pack it in.
And in comics, a lot of times you're setting up things that are going to be coming in future installments that you wouldn't necessarily do in a movie. You might do it in a TV show, but you obviously not going to do it in a movie. So these things that might seem superfluous are playing that role of setting up, building that character out for a later eventuality.
Yeah. You know that today I had a meeting with Jared. We're working on Hotel Story, and there was a page in the whole book. This kind of only came up once, really, but there was a big panel that we had paneled really big of this moment. These two people going up the stairs, and it kind of looked empty. And I was like, they could be saying something. And I'm like, all right, what should they say if they do say anything? And then we're like, okay, like what is their psychology? What do we want to try and communicate with their character if we have the opportunity? And we thought about it for like 5 minutes and we're like, let's go do it ourselves and think about it and not do it like, let's move on to other shit. Cause it was actually kind of hard to, that's like, speaking of like a challenge, like going into a random comic, a random panel and make them say something, you know, but that is like a little bit of the form kind of thing that can be there sometimes with comics. Like we have room for them to say something here. Want them to say anything? And like, yeah, what can it be? But it can't mess with the flow, but you just a call and response kind of thing or whatever can work good.
Right. And you got to kind of weigh like, what is the better path to take? Is it better for there to be no dialogue in this panel? Or can we make a moment happen here? And if you can't make a moment happen there, maybe it's better if there's no dialogue at all. Like I've worked with people where they'll get to panels and be like, oh, there's only one balloon in this panel. Let's have another balloon. But it's just like rant just for whatever reason, you know?
Yeah.
Like an arbitrary reason of like, let's put something else.
Yeah, actually, you know, one kind of cool working with your boy Zach. There was one time because we did it kind of Marvel style where a lot of the books he sent me the outline and I kind of wrote a version of the dialogue and I'm just writing everything and I'm paneling it, lettering it, and I send it to him to read. And a lot of times he's like, "That's great," but he will have notes at that point. And one of his notes on one of the books, he's like, "This dialogue balloon is filler." And you just like wrote it for filler or whatever. I was like,
Yeah.
how did you know? How did you know? And I was like, dude,
Yeah.
he called it, and it's because it was doing nothing. Like it
Sure.
wasn't setting up character. It wasn't telling the plot. It was just something to read on that panel because you could kind of, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you can run into issues with like that, where if you're just arbitrarily putting dialogue balloons down on panels, you could trick yourself into just putting a filler thing down there, or it could be an opportunity where you can make a cool moment, you know? It's just you gotta kind of know, and having an editor like that, you know, someone kind of overseeing the project, or an editor could be someone on the outside that points that out to you.
Yeah. You know, I'm trying to think of with dialogue that I saw a YouTube video talking about it. Maybe Bancroft, you might have seen it too. It's like about movie dialogue, but they say like if you can kind of give it, you don't say exactly what the thing is, but it's enough for the audience to get it. I'm trying
Yeah.
to think that's come up in Hotel Story, so I can give an actual example. Oh, so like there was a piece of dialogue where like the bad guys find out that the good guys are using mirrors to like travel through the hotel, and so then we had the bad guy saying, he says like, so we're smashing all the mirrors is like what he says. So we found out they're using the mirrors, so we're smashing all the mirrors. And she's like, good job. But we changed it to like, we found out they're using the mirrors, so we're doing the obvious response to that. And you find out later that they're smashing the mirrors. So he just doesn't say it. And it's like,
That's got to do with, I think, your interactivity
Well, it's
thing, where
Yeah.
you allow the reader to have some involvement in what's happening and what's being said, as opposed to just spoon feeding them what's happening. They can, you know, be involved in that. Oh, what, you know, even if they're doing it subconsciously, what is the obvious response? You know?
yeah.
It's another reduction for deduction thing. You leave you reduce the information so the reader can deduce what's going on.
Yeah, I like that. I like that rhyme. That's fun.
I think
Did you
I'm going to
come up
write
with
that one down, Jake, in my
Yeah.
creative block notebook.
Yeah, that's nice.
Reduction for deduction.
I like that.
He might have said that earlier, and we said the same thing. We're like, "That's great. Write it down."
Yeah, I don't
I hope
remember.
no
hearing
one
that.
steals
I said
that notebook
that
and writes the
the other
next
week.
great American novel.
Yeah,
Then you'd have egg on your face.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Jake, were you saying something? Sorry.
No.
Okay. Is it
Jake.
so I've thought of it with real quick with like Tarantino style dialogue too. I have thought of like he had a lot of imitators, and you're like, how does he do it exactly? And I kind of think even with Pulp Fiction, it's not even like he's like sitting there like, oh, this line will deliver this aspect of their character, and this line will deliver this aspect of their character. He kind of just gets them talking, and he even has them. Sometimes they just talk like him, like the people they were
Yeah.
saying Aaron Sorkin, yeah,
Yeah.
like they don't even talk different, but it's still amazing.
And,
And
even sorry to cut you off.
Oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, who's the director who did Inception?
Yeah, Nolan.
The same way, the way he talks, it's just like this. It's like his movies, and that, funnily enough, another video I just recently watched was about how these directors and writers, they retell the same story that's been previously told, but in a way that only they can. So if you look at Tarantino, who kind of remade like Fistful of Dollars or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly or whatever, or any spaghetti western or whatever, doesn't matter. But then if you think back on those movies, they had, barely any dialogue. It was mostly just a lot of silent and zoom ins and stuff.
Yeah.
But Tarantino retells those stories, but puts in his Tarantino way of talking. And if you ever listen to an interview with him, he talks like how a lot of his characters kind of ramble on like that. So
Yeah,
it's you put your own self into it.
And that is like pros and cons or whatever, but his highest priority is just to write really good, like really kind of, even, I don't know if you'd even say it's clever, but it's just really good dialogue. It's just really like those words are really awesome. And he doesn't worry too much about anything other than that. So that's kind of a weird way to approach it. That's kind of fun. But yeah, I don't know. I've heard Mike Barron talk about dialogue and kind of like what he says too. But what were you saying, Jake?
It's okay to write as if you like the smell of your own farts, if they're good smelling farts. That's Tarantino.
Oh yeah, Alex VRB. That is quotable stuff right there, maybe for the meme. If there's anything else, that's a good one, Jake. Jake, you should write your own interactivity book with quotes or whatever.
I'd have to do like Hyper Wizard's Guide to Life, like a parody of the Bart Simpson's Guide to Life. And
pretty much just smelling your own fart. If it's not too offensive, you'll be a good writer. That's the gist of it.
Like, you may be cringe, but at least you're being yourself. Like, it's people are scared of writing like it. Okay. People who write Tarantino-y, it's like they're trying to write with his voice more than their own, and it's almost like they're scared to exhibit their own flair, because that would have to be earnest, and then if people criticize that, it's embarrassing. You know what I mean? Like, I can't not write with my own level of retardation. I can't write like somebody else. It would be fake.
Yeah, I think that we see a lot of people trying to do that, and they'll just look at his work and be like, oh, he is shocking and edgy, the action's over the top, and people are cursing constantly.
Well, it's that, it's that interview he did where he's like being told, she's like, why do you put all this violence? And he says, because it's so fucking fun.
yeah. Like, that's ridiculous.
Just be that. Just have your own fun.
I have one other dialogue thing so we're talking about, there's Tarantino, there's monologues, that's like Shakespeare, whatever. And then there's, like these conversations, but sometimes good dialogue, the way we think about it, we think of memorable lines, and it's literally just one line that like gives you goosebumps or that sticks in your head or whatever. That's like a little bit more of that comic style. If you can build to just one good line, and it can be like 3 words. I'm trying to think, there was one I saw, and it was the Star Trek original series. And I'm trying to think what it actually was, but it was something like, after like a ton of bullshit that Kirk had gone through, he like finally gets like a huge like moment of like everything release of like everything kind of working out finally. And then Spock or something says like, I bet that felt good. And he goes, you bet your ass it did. Something like that. And it's like the best line. It's so awesome. It gives you goosebumps. You're like, man, I love Kirk, dude. I just love Kirk. But they have to build it up to it, But that's the thing, is like, the writing, quote unquote, the smell your fart aspect is like 4 words that are not that special, but then all the context around it that builds to it that gives you goosebumps. That's what makes you remember it, you know. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
your
the tension
Goosebumps
and release.
line?
You can't just put the "you bet your ass" line. It wouldn't do anything. You need the contrast.
yeah, so it's like me telling, I'm
I
like, you
think
guys
I
had to
think
be there. You got to see the episode, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a couple of like you've talked about before about putting pseudoscience into something, and like you can have I think maybe some iconic dialogue is where a character is giving some kind of like pseudo philosophy of their own, and people end up repeating it because they think it sounds cool when like it's not true. Like okay, everyone repeats. You know what the really definition of insanity is? It is doing the same thing over and over again,
Why do
expecting
they have a
different
weird
results.
accent when they would say it?
Yeah, I know. Why do they
Well,
sound
no,
like?
that was the accent. But that was the character from the game. But yeah, like that's not true. It was from a game. That's from a video game.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
What about this one? Do you guys know this one? We're a generation of men raised by women. I'm wondering if another woman is really what we need.
I don't know that one.
I don't know what that is.
That's Fight Club.
Oh,
I wondered if it was.
Oh, man, it's been a long time since I've seen Fight Club. I used to love that movie.
What about this
Yeah.
one?
Trump
What about
should've
this one?
quoted
Hold on,
that.
one more. What about? Doesn't it make you proud to be Scottish? It's shite being Scottish, Johnny. We're a generation. We're raised. What do you say? We're a colony raised by wankers.
Train spotting.
Spotting.
yeah, yeah,
Right in Scottish. I know that one.
yeah.
That
My-
book was so crazy. It affected me for a very long time. You think the
Oh, that's
movie's
cool.
nuts, and then you read the book, and you're like, "Holy shit!" They
Oh,
toned
damn.
it down.
I'd read it. I haven't read it.
Those lines give you chills, Pear?
Who does number 2 work for? I got a turtle head poking out of my ass.
No, my chilling line is from Tombstone, favorite movie. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer.
Yeah, he was. I'll be
When-
your Huckleberry. That
No,
one?
no.
Oh.
It's after Wyatt Earp has the gunfight and kills Curly Bill at the river, and one of the Texas Creek Jack Johnson asks Doc, "Why are you out here, Doc? You're sick and dying." And he's like, "Wyatt Earp is my friend," and Texas Jack is like, "Hell, I got a lot of friends," and
Oh.
Doc Holliday says, "I don't."
Yeah,
I know.
that gives me
movie is
goosebumps.
just wall
That's
to
amazing.
wall classic
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
Right up to his death.
Oh yeah.
It's like
Dude,
if
that's crazy.
you ever had any affection for me, whatever he says. Like,
Now,
Yeah.
find that actress.
Hand over that baby. I've lost my mojo.
Yeah. Okay, if you want to think of an iconic line, just think, okay, I guess if you target memeability, you're usually going to misfire, so maybe you can't do this. But it's lines that people could just equate to real life moments that they could say to someone. Like if they look just like badly dressed or they've got like food all over their mouth, and then they turn to a friend and say, "I'm a beautiful butterfly" from A Bug's Life, or get it when they sit down to eat loads of food, they shout "Get in my belly."
Yeah, yeah. Ellie Munoz says, luck is for the ill prepared. Yeah. Just saying lines is fun. So maybe that's the trick. How do you say memorable lines, quotable lines? And
I mean, I
Jake just
think-
told us, but I
I
wasn't
think the
listening.
build up, like Bancroft said, like the build up, and makes them more memorable
The
too.
context of the line.
Yeah, context and subtext, which is
Well-
talked about a lot in interactivity.
that and Chuck's point there is right. Just essential. All of these things are pretty pithy. They're pretty.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
if it
rare
was.
you get a memorable 30-word sentence.
Yeah, or even if it is the crazy monologues that are famous, We only remember like the first sentence that's like epic or whatever.
Yeah,
What-
force
Yeah, like
forward.
the Balboa speech was like, "Ain't about how hard you can hit." But that's like a 5 minute long speech. Maybe not 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
longish.
And that's funny, yeah. Like if that was in comic form, and you turn the page and it's like Rocky Balboa fucking monologuing for 2 pages, that wouldn't work.
He's just standing there and he's like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
just reposing, zooming in on his
Yeah.
eye glinting or whatever. Actually, if you went over the top and made people laugh, some anime will sometimes do that.
there's something that I always pay attention to that I love in movies and TV is the conversation on the move. You know, like obviously because they don't just want to have someone standing around, so they'll
Yeah.
start a conversation, and even though from one sentence to the next is natural, they'll be in sometimes a completely different environment. Is it like they've
Yeah,
it's like they say a
Nolan does
sentence-
that. Nolan does that, and it's really a kind of distracting. All of a sudden they're
Yeah.
on a boat, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden they're on the dock, and they're just continuing the
But
exact
this
same
guy goes
conversation.
sentence to sentence in different locations.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. Senator Armstrong, is that from the Metal Gear Solid? Is it called Rising? I think, maybe. And yeah, he had all like the predictive, funny stuff about kind of Trump-esque stuff. I think.
All right.
Yeah. What do you ever unlock a character and you're like, this character is giving me bangers, and like one character is like dropping lines,
Unlock a character. What's that mean?
Like you're like, oh, I know this character and I can actually write for them in any situation now, and they're always gonna say something funny. Like for Blogart's a little bit like that. Like, and so one of his famous lines is like, what does he say? He's like, that's the kind of house that makes me want to hold my farts in.
That's a good line, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. When you have a character like that can just sort of cut through any tension at any time that you need
Yeah.
and deliver something.
Yeah, they call that like comedic relief a lot of times.
Yeah.
But that could be, I don't know. And I'm wondering, is there like a way you could do that with characters who are, one other random thing is I've only recently realized, because there was a line once people were saying as I was growing up that everyone always said that sarcasm is the lowest form of humor, and I've been thinking like, no, it's not. Sarcasm is amazing, but I trained it out of my body. I can't do it anymore. I take shit too straight or whatever. But just lying to
Sarcasm?
someone's face and staring to their face and lying to them, knowing it's a joke, is hilarious. And like characters doing that in movies is also funny.
Yeah, well, it's like what are those
Comic.
dowsing rod? Like if like sarcasm, if you get it, then I know you're not autistic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It has, you have a little glint in your eye if you're saying shit. But I want to add a bunch of
Same with-
sarcasm to all my books.
Same with gaslighting humor. It's
Is that a new form of comedy? What is that?
They're kind of similar.
a new form of. What,
What's
gaslight? Yeah, gaslighting humor is the best, man. It's where you just lie as convincingly as possible about the most ridiculous thing possible with like perfect tone. And like, if someone just
women
goes,
hate
yeah,
that.
yeah, you know they're not listening. But if they look at you and they're like, and they continue it to make it more ridiculous with
Yeah.
perfect tone, that's when you found a true. That's when you found a true partner in this world.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
one time we're in the back room and Camel was like, sometimes I like taking like action figures and you can set up a little diorama and you start putting personality into the figures and you can play out. And I'm like, yeah, like playing with toys. What you mean?
Yeah. He's beating around the bush.
Yeah, but that
I
was-
want
it
to
was
think.
like
I want to
talking
think of a
about-
good example of sarcasm. I don't know, because there's a lot of bad examples, but there's a lot that are great. I don't know. There's, speaking of, isn't there a line in it's in one of the Tarantino movies where he's like, I need your bullshit like I need an asshole right here. And he points at his elbow. That's not
Yeah, I don't remember
sarcasm.
that one.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Camel's always playing with toys. All right, what's number 3 here? At least
Oh,
3.
sorry. I got one more. Sorry, guys. I got one more dialogue thing for you. I read the novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and there's a ton of different shit, and it's all great. And the dialogue in that actually does feel like people talking different, and I'm like, this is so good. But there is one of them where the guy he's talking about the jobs he had to. He's like catching a friend up or something, like they haven't seen each other in a while, and he's like, the guy's like, weren't you on such and such show for a while? And he's like, yep, that show put milk in my cereal for like 10 years. I'm like, putting milk in your cereal? That's an amazing turn of phrase. But I'm like, does that exist or did he invent that? Because it feels like you know what he's talking about right away, but it's awesome.
I used to have a friend that would say the most outrageous sayings that no one has ever heard before, but he would say them like they're just common knowledge, like Jonathan, like the sky's the limit. But he would just say like, oh, the dog's a rug beater or whatever. And you'd be like, what the? Like, yeah, you know. And he'd explain it. It was like no one ever says it, and he would do it every day. And I always wish I'd written them down because it would have been an absolute gold mine.
Yeah,
I know. That's like I wish I would write that stuff down.
I kind of love characters like that. You know who you could get away with writing characters like that is like really Southern characters because they always have like my dad had a buddy who was a Vietnam vet and he was from the South, but he moved up here and he was a construction worker and he would just have all these like wherever he was from, like Georgian sayings of metaphors, ways to say things are smelled bad or were scratchy, but just these, long sentence versions of that. And a character that was like that was Rogue in the X-Men because she's from the South. So she, in the animated series, they would write her to have crazy phrases like that. And they're always really fun.
She's like, Grandma always once said, life is like a box of chocolates. Yeah.
It's a little overdone.
Yeah. And she's like, and that's okay. But yeah. There's a page in Hotel Story where we were trying, I guess it's like spoilers, so I can't tell you what's happening, so it just ruins the story. But it was another one where we were trying to decide what the guy would be saying because he has to comment on what's happening. And he's kind of like a boss character. And we ended up having him say, smoke him if you got him, boys. And we were both chuckling. But with that, maybe we'll go on to at least 3 pages of action per story. Is this one worth talking about? What's this mean?
3 pieces of action.
Yeah,
and he says story. That's the only, there's like inherent stuff. Like he's talking about a 22-page comic.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was watching his. He does the Chuck Dixon podcast or whatever. He does it like one like every week, and he put one out yesterday, and I listened to it today while I was at the gym. And someone wrote in asking a question. I think it was about this list, and they brought up that piece, and he said he talked about that. Yeah, 3 action pieces in each issue of his story. He said he wrote about that because people would ask him how he gets so much action in his scripts. Kind of like new writers, when you're writing comics, you want them to be punchy. And of course, it's a roller coaster, so you need those down times and dialogue to get plot across. But that was something that he kind of wrote by, is making sure there's 3 pieces of action in there.
Yeah. You know what this reminds me of is pacing. Like it's kind of like that. Like if you put all 3 of those in a row, that's bad pacing. If you put them every other, that's like good pacing. But one thing I've noticed is like, or what, Jake, what were you gonna say?
I'll go after you. Sorry, I was butting.
Okay. With the action, so there's actually kind of different types of action, and if you mix those up, then you really get something good. So with the pacing will feel really good. And video games are like that, movies are like that. But so for example, The Matrix, and what's the other one where where the Raid Redemption. Do you guys know that movie? The like
Yeah.
Southeast Asian
never seen it,
action
but
movie.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Great.
both Matrix and Raid Redemption have a scene kind of in the middle where it becomes like a hide and seek action scene where the bad guys are overpowered and the only way to survive is to hide. And before that, they were just
Yeah.
kicking ass. But then all of a sudden, you get this turn like now the bad guys are overpowered. You gotta hide. And then there's a suspense scene where they're kind of just hiding. Are they going to get caught or not? And then later on, it's back to fighting. But it's like that is so fun to change it up like that. And you can imagine if it was not like that.
You know what? That it sounds like three pieces, and then what you say by differing it, it sounds like beginning, middle, and end, each with its own piece of action. You know what I mean? An inciting incident style thing, the playing keep you up in the air, fun and game style, middle, and then like a conclusatory final combat style scene.
Did you guys see the new Godzilla movie that everyone loved? Godzilla's
it's
minus
so good.
one, or yeah. So in the
it's
middle
so
of it,
good.
the kind of my favorite action scene is one of the earlier ones, and it's a chase scene where they're in a tiny little boat and Godzilla's swimming right behind them, trying to bite their boat, and that's like amazing. And it's so different than the types of action that come up later in the movie that are much larger scale and crazier. But that's kind of almost like intimate version where they're just fighting. All you can see out of the water is his head. It's the same size as the boat, and it's chasing them, and it's like a little chase scene. But that's like the type of action you could have: chase scene, you can have hide and seek, stealth, you can have escort mission. It's like video games. You could have one-on-one. One-on-one is way different than anything else too. You could have infiltration. You could have. It could be fun to write them all down. And,
yeah, let's just do all video game gameplay modes as action sequences.
Story point, yes, action points.
Oh yeah,
cool.
the don't drop the egg action scene when someone is dealing with something very delicate and it'll get thrown around the whole place.
That's a great trope. I want to write that down for sure. Yeah.
I love don't drop the egg. There's a lot of that in Connell, seeing as like he's a very chaotic, violent.
That's very Jackie Chan.
Very delicate.
Jake, I'm going to post that right now, and I'm going to say it was you.
You're imagining Jackie Chan catching something on his foot and then flick it in the air and catching it in his hand or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a
don't
drop the egg comedy scene in. Is it Almost Heroes? You guys seen Almost Heroes or is it Almost Famous? There's two movies. One of them's not the one I'm talking about.
Almost Famous is about a rock band.
It's not that one. Almost Heroes, which is a comedy starring Matthew Perry and Chris Farley about the Lewis and Clark expedition. But these are the two other guys that were trying to race them to the West Coast or whatever the hell it was. And Matthew Perry gets really sick with this flu. And this Native American girl sends Chris Farley on a quest to get a rare eagle egg, and he has to bring the eagle egg back to save him. And so he climbs up in this tree. He gets the egg, he gets attacked by the eagle. He drops the egg, so he's got to climb back up and get another one. And he goes through all this hell to get it back. And she's like, "Oh my God, you got it! Thank you!" And she gets it and cracks the egg, and she had to use the shell, so the egg was not even important.
Oh, that's hilarious. I forgot that. I've seen that movie.
Funny reveal. Yeah. So it's a really funny movie. Underrated.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of all time is The Last Samurai. And in that movie, it's a lot of war action, fighting and battles. But if you think about it, almost every single fight is different. So if you haven't seen it, he starts out, he's like a soldier, and then he's got to train the Japanese, and they're crap. And so now he's showing that they're not ready. And then he actually has to go fight samurai, and he doesn't fight their way, but he's still and the whole way, all progressing to the very end, each battle is slightly different, even to the point where they're like, he gets good and he's fighting ninjas and other samurai and everything. Just really an amazing escalation of different kinds of battles in the one movie, in the one story that all makes sense. It really is a freaking amazing movie.
Yeah, that's cool. that'll definitely get the audience on board too when they're like, because they'll kind of pick up on that, I think, even if it's maybe subconscious. But yeah.
dope.
Yeah, and there's a ninja fight. I remember in that movie there's a arrow when the arrow guy dies is like super awesome, the archer guy.
Yeah, on the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to
all
maintain
right.
that semi-predictability in the action scenes too. So it's like, oh, around this corner there's going to be a monster, and like, yeah, a couple of times it works. Then the third time it isn't, and then they turn around and it's behind them. Like
Right.
You got to give the audience things that they very easily can predict, then switch it, and then you'll kind of they'll be invested in the action scene then, and it'll keep them thinking, but also not getting bored. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that goes back to the conditioning your audience and then hitting them with the contrast that forms the impact. And like another thing I took away from reading the interactivity book is when you bring up like fractals, like everything we talk about here every week can be applied to your full story, or you could make it smaller down into fractals, into scenes, into issues, into chapters, knowing your ending, and even into specific scenes like action scenes, action sequences, conditioning your audience.
I like applying that. So let's say the plot of the first issue or the first story can end up being a mini version of what'll happen across the entire arc of the whole story. Like it can fractalize like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Your very first scene gives you the essence of what the whole series is going to be about. Then the first self-contained story is like, this is what the whole story would technically be.
A little thematic echo.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Ooh,
yeah.
Thematic echo.
Yeah.
These phrases, pair.
Oh yeah.
You know what? Doing that, the fractal expansion, it's kind of like if you don't know your theme, because theme can be hard, it's a way of cheating at the theme.
Yeah.
By just using rhyming, I guess.
Yeah. I thought theme one way to say it besides the way it gets used like theme or whatever. Because sometimes you like, yeah, it's hard or you don't like or don't want to, but you could say motifs sometimes, and that'll give like some structure to your story. Just some motifs.
Yeah, for sure. Get those
so
action
yes.
in there.
Remember that someone has to draw what you write. So I have something with this real fast. Is a lot of times Bancroft's like this, Jake's like this, where we draw our own stuff. So in theory, we could write anything and not worry about it. But I noticed that's one of the things that makes me the best editor, because it'll be like, I don't feel like drawing 8 fucking pages of people talking. So then I will make it a 2-page conversation instead.
Yeah.
And it is.
This makes sense though. I mean, Chuck's a writer. He's probably tackling these as comic writing commandments,
Yeah. And I guess there's 2 ways, because that's one thing. The other thing is, like, if he's saying like, don't make every single scene in the book a crowd scene, because your artist will get annoyed. Like I can kind of see that, maybe, but I'm less, because one of the things they say is the strengths of comics is that they have unlimited budget and you can draw anything. But a little bit of that too is like, I kind of like some of the restrictions that you can bring in to the storytelling of treat it almost like it has a budget.
If you've got a crowd scene, usually you want to just do the one establishing shot that they're in a crowd and then get in tight. And that's what you would see most people do anyway. You don't need it unless it's specifically meant to be pulled back so they feel really tiny in the crowd. But that would get repetitive.
Yeah. And like with a competent comic book artist will use those professional shortcuts to convey the establishing shot area and then go in, zoom in, do some like backgrounds. They'll know how to work that out. I think something, and I haven't read the rest of these commandments, but something I would add to this one that he's probably talking about as well is don't give too many directions in your scene descriptions. if you have contradicting directions in your scripts, then the artist is going to be confused what the most important thing is that they need to draw and pay attention to. You know?
Yeah. If you've got a panel that says panel 4, he jumps up onto the table and kicks off the phone, and the phone bounces off the ground and hits the woman on the head,
Right.
and then she falls out the window and lands on the car below. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That is funny. Yeah. Do you
You know,
guys find is it like one sentence equals one panel kind of, or I guess you could have a run-on sentence even, but it's like you get one verb, one subject, one object. For Jake, who I know doesn't know what those are, that's the thing doing the action, the thing receiving the action, and the action.
The
I think
adjective, the noun,
it varies.
the proper
Yeah.
noun.
It depends on the script and the panel, and if there is some subtext going on, because I like to let the artist in on some of that. You know, it's just so they keep the mood in mind for them.
Yeah, I do like that too.
Yeah.
Michael, what about you when you're writing for Rod Looper? How is that experience? I know it's a broad question.
I say to him, these are my suggested panels, but you can do what you want. Whatever you think is best. And he's moved things from one page to another, or he's gotten rid of panels, or he's maybe added a panel. But I'll just describe what I want, I want to see in the scene. So, for instance, there's one of them where I said she's trying to hit him, but he's dodging her, and she's like kicking him and swinging at him, but he's just jumping away. He decided to make one big panel and have multiple instances of her and him kind of bouncing around.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I was like, that's so cool. I wouldn't have thought of that. So yeah, it's very much like giving you the reins here. Go for it however you think is best.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know something too, that is just like a little bit more what a comic can do versus what a movie can do. Like movies can't do that really.
That's very old school Frank Miller. They call that I think, if I'm not mistaken, they call that the DeLuca effect. So
okay.
You would have like ghosted images of previous iterations of a character moving in one panel.
Yeah,
When
and
we
I'm
did
not
that
even
on
ghosting
the show,
them.
we
I'm just
called it
having
a
them there,
clusterfuck.
and it's so easy to interpret. It's so clear what's happening.
That's awesome. What were you saying, Jake? Jake seemed to be sassy. Okay.
It was, we talked about it on the show. It was the hypothetical. That was called the clusterfuck. A little less eloquent than
the DeLuca effect. Yeah, I
the
didn't know that
DeLuca
was the name
effect.
for it.
Yeah, nice. Find something to like about each character, and I'll pair this with number 6. Find something to hate about each character. That's fun. That's kind of mind-opening. That's good. I can imagine maybe I haven't always done that. I can think of folks that haven't done that.
That is interesting. Yeah, that's something to think about that I have not done.
I know, like, sometimes you'll be like, yeah, give your main character a flaw or whatever. Or I've heard the shortcut is like, you can make him an asshole in some ways in the beginning of the story, just so it sets it up at the end. They're less of an asshole, and then they have a quote unquote arc, but you don't even need to like define it. You're just like, he's an asshole, then he's not. He's been through a lot.
I'd like to hear Chuck expound upon those 2 points and kind of like give examples of like something likable about the Joker. What would he put as an example? Like
I would say the Joker is entertaining, at least. His spontaneity and his attitude is entertaining to a reader. He's really interesting to watch on screen, regardless of whatever he's doing outside. Like, because you're still a reader, so it doesn't really matter to you or anyone really if the Joker is being sadistic, because it's not real, but it's entertaining.
Yeah. LE, are you talking about Doctor Doom here? Because I mentioned this before, but I notice everyone loves Doctor Doom, and I've never read a Doctor Doom comic, so I don't know his personality at all, but I just see the images. I'm like, what's his deal? Is he actually like a smooth talker? Is like people like him a lot?
She's like the Chuck Norris meme, in a comic book villain. He's
Yeah.
just
He just
like
he's a
he's the
badass.
most badass, smartest,
Yeah.
and he knows it. And so yeah, everyone is
Yeah.
Beneath them.
yeah, essentially.
Oh, and he talks in the third person. That's funny. That seems borderline stupid, but that's awesome.
No, it
Um,
works. It works because he is so. I mean, and it's not like he walks the walk too. He doesn't just say this stuff. He actually does it as well.
Yeah, that's a random thing. People like, character. There's a word for, they call it, or I mean, people mention this, but they say what's their likability, and then you can debate even how important that is. But a lot of people place that really high, like for your main character or whatever. And shit, I kind of forget where I was going with this. What's likable? Oh, competence. Competence is a super likable quality. And
Yeah, if you want to make people love your character, 1, show them being bullied. 2 is show them being competent at something. 3 is show them making a selfless sacrifice that they didn't need to do, that doesn't benefit them in any way. And I can't remember what the 4th one is. But yeah, those are the 3.
Give them huge cans.
yeah,
Bully the shit out of them and make people go like, come on.
Here's another way you can do it. One of my favorite shows a while back is Blacklist, and in it, the main character is one of the least likable characters ever, just because she's so annoying. She's quasi capable, but she's just insufferably annoying. But the other main character, James Spader, is so likable. It's like off the charts. He's like in a whole nother realm of likability. And she matters to him in the show. So you'll tolerate pretty much anything just because she matters so much to him. So that's another way you could do it as well. You can kind of like tie him to a really likable character.
Yeah, that's fun. That's outside the box. I haven't heard that or read that ever, but I like that one. Phil, write it in your book.
Oh
And,
my god. James Spader.
Yeah, Blacklist,
The
annoying
secretary?
lady.
Blacklist,
he needs
greatest
her.
ever mystery box show ever made.
Yeah.
Pulled off 10 seasons.
I never heard of it.
So with this too, this reminds me a little bit of like how actors approach playing a character is a lot. I like that process and hearing interviews, how they talk, how seriously they take it. And yeah, like this is a little bit like that. If a writer can do that too. And sometimes actors do it more in depth. And I know Tarantino says that was the thing that made him a good writer was acting class. It wasn't writing class. And because then you get in character, all of a sudden you like start thinking like them and trying to think of their psychology, what they'd say in that situation and stuff. Yeah, so all that stuff is kind of fun to do. I know, like when you're in your college or whatever, sometimes they're like, make a character sheet. What's their favorite color? What kind of toothbrush do they use? Blah blah blah.
Right.
Like you almost like don't need any of that. But like maybe an actor, if they're preparing for the role, maybe they would do that. But they do other stuff that's kind of crazy to prepare for the role.
The method
Well,
actor.
Tarantino going like, what made him a... Oh, sorry. I did interrupt.
No, go ahead.
No, the what made me a better writer acting, that makes me think what would make a writer a better writer drawing. You know what I mean? We go back to like the manga thing about like the writer in manga usually does the paneling and does the layouts. It would be interesting to see if there's a writer out there that says they improved when they had to do that, the layouts, or do a bit of drawing.
Yeah.
I would imagine so, because like you would understand what needs to go into a panel, and just getting that perspective on that side of the table would enhance how you script your scripts, how you write your scripts to convey to another artist.
Yeah.
I don't know what would work the opposite way, because there's a lot of artists that are very bad writers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, and so with writers, they bring to it, or sorry, actors, they bring like empathy. That's a little bit what this is, but they'll bring empathy to a character. And a lot of times you see examples where they're playing the bad guy and they kind of like the bad guy and they can't fully even like say it in interviews because the bad guy could be like a Nazi or whatever. That is actually I know Tarantino. His character Hans Landa is like his favorite character that he's ever written, and he's just a bad guy Nazi, but Tarantino loves him, you know. And I know Tarantino said too about his character that DiCaprio plays in Django Unchained. He said that's the only character I ever wrote that I hated, and there was nothing I liked about him. And it was like an experiment that he tried to do it that way, and I think he mildly regrets that it's not his
Really?
best written character. Yeah.
It's cool.
Yes. So number 7, avoid redundancy. Don't describe what the reader can see. A little more, yeah, a little more interactivity. Let them put it together. And kind of with dialogue, we're kind of on that, but like we were mentioning earlier, like you don't say what they're doing. You said once Bancroft too, like that you just stay one step ahead of the audience, and there's things you can do accidentally where all of a sudden you're not one step ahead. I know, like sometimes that's like if a character's like, we need to go tell Sandy about this. And then they run over to Sandy and be like, hey, Sandy, blah, 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 blah. They're just
Right.
doing what they said they're going to do. Like, and yeah, that's really boring, definitely for the.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's just like an editing
instead you
process.
just
You
go.
cut it out. Yeah.
Instead, you just go, Sandy's not going to be happy about this. Because that automatically gets people to think about the psychological.
Right.
Yeah,
And
all the
you-
implications.
You even bring
Yeah.
this up in interactivity where it's the worst when you tell the audience you're going to do something and it happens without an issue.
Yeah.
It's better.
That's right. That's the and then thing.
Right.
That's the and then problem. That's how a child tells a story. If you ever had to sit through a 5-year-old telling what happened during their day, it's that. It's like and
Yeah.
then and then and then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 And you're like, but what happened that's interesting? They're like, and then?
Yeah, no, you set up very well in the book where you give like 3 examples, and the best one or one of the better ones is you tell your audience that a character is going to go do something and then something goes horribly wrong, you know, with that. And also sometimes your audience anticipating that is also a good thing, because then that's interactivity and that's a payoff for them, where like, oh, what's going to happen? Something crazy happens, you know, the car crash, you know.
Yeah. That's cool.
For comedic effect in Connell chapter 2, I do the exact opposite of that, where someone is basically building up something to be very difficult, and then it's just surprisingly easy, and then just gets completely walked through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny too.
That reversal thing, that's good. The funny thing here, this number 7 reminds me of old school Jack Kirby comics, and he specifically says, like, you know, don't, if your character's riding a motorcycle across the bridge, there's no reason to state that. Like in Kirby's Etrigan the Demon DC series, he would have a narrator just describing what's in the panel, you know, like how Etrigan walks across the tomb and finds, you know, this sarcophagus, and like it's drawn in the panel. So that always takes me back to like very, very old comics, which it's weird because you could do so much in comic books, and one of the unique things that you could do in the medium is show something while stating something totally different, you know, and and that is very useful in the medium.
Yeah. They
I
work
do that
together.
a lot. I try to anyway.
The juxtaposition.
Yeah, especially with any narration.
Mm-hmm.
To have to just like layer that subtext I was talking about earlier. It can really elevate what's, you know, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it conveys so much information in just one panel with the use of letters and art.
Yeah. And this is something on like redrafting, you'll catch it. Sometimes it'll be in as you're going, you can develop a instinct to not repeat yourself or whatever. But yeah, that's cool. That one is like a fundamental, I'd almost say. It's not
Mhm.
even like it is simple, like, but I don't know. You definitely,
It's kind of a roundabout way of saying show don't tell as well. So which is
Yeah.
sort of a basic.
yeah,
Well,
that's another
if you
like
think of
fundamental.
using every part of the buffalo with a comic, it's like what are the different elements you get. Do something different with every one. So the visual, the dialogue, a narration thing. You know what I mean? Maybe a signpost in the world. Like there's at least those three layers: narration, dialogue, and the visual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To do something different with, to create the maximum matrix of possibility that panel creates.
Yeah. By the way, 19 people watching. Thanks everyone for being here. We've been going an hour, 46 minutes. Around 2 hours, I want to possibly look at the meme and kind of wrap up. We'll see where we're at. There's no hurry, but Alex VRB just
Yeah,
letting you
get to it,
know.
Alex.
Yeah, the meme get snapping.
Speaking
We
of
all
Django Unchained,
Jake gave you lots of good stuff. Yeah, so just make Jake say everything. Yes. So number 8 is every comic is someone's first comic book. That's a little bit like don't smell your own farts in some ways. A little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's like
Well,
a
yeah.
tried and true phrase from comic, like Stan Lee days of things, but it could mean so much. And as it says right there, keep your storytelling simple, basic, and easy to follow. And that goes from writing, but also to paneling and panel layouts. You know, keeping
Yeah.
things concise. A lot of the points that we talked about last week with clarity is kind of wrapped up in that point.
Well, every comic book of yours can be the first time someone's been introduced to your character too. Like it gets played out a bit much in manga because like sometimes every episode, especially in Spy Family, like the narrator will describe who the character is and their entire backstory almost at the beginning of each episode or each book. But like you still kind of need a touch of that, right? Like don't be afraid of reiterating the classic broad strokes of your character. Like Casimir is grumpy, Connell is a drunk, Eller is not doesn't know anything and it's so crazy and fall down a rabbit hole.
it's funny. I was actually going to bring up this exact same point too. That this is what I'm currently doing now with the script for Fractured Mind. I'm rereading it and polishing it, based from if I read this book first, as opposed to you read the other two and now you read this as a prequel. What if you read this first? So not a prequel, because in the timeline it actually takes place 6 months before Waking Dream. So I'm looking at it through that lens now. What if I read this first? Does it still work as a story?
That's interesting.
And then, because I think some people might choose to read it like that in the future when they say, well, what's the order of these books? You know, I can tell them the order it came out, but I can tell you the timeline, you know, and I want them to work in both ways.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. Cool. Maybe I will move on. Everyone is someone's first comic book. Anything else with this? I don't know.
No.
Number 9. The last panel of each page should make the reader turn to the next page. Something exciting and mysterious in the final panel. Yeah, that's maybe another fundamental. This goes with the fractal thing. Like pages can have beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I was told very early on when I was looking into making comics is the page turn thing, the mini cliffhanger on every page as much as you can. That's very kind of fundamental comics 101.
Yeah. I read a book that it was like a Fantagraphics style book, like cartoonist style, but it did 6 panel pages, and the 6th panel was always a punchline for the entire book, and it was telling a story, but it was kind of jumping around scenes and a little bit like outside the box. But that was addictive. That was really fun. And that was a little different because then you're turning because you're like, oh, that was great. Let me see if they do it again. Oh, that was great. Let me see if they do it again. And you kind of keep going that way rather than let me see the punchline. So you're turning. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, there's so many ways to do it. Like they call it writing for the turn page, or the page turn. Sorry. So you do it just with art. You could use dialogue to emphasize that with ellipses. Ending a sentence midway through, continuing it on the next page. Those are very simple ways to do that.
Yeah. Cool. Last panel. Yeah, this does feel like something I learned really early too. This one
Now,
bores me. Just
now,
kidding.
Mike, how talk about this because you used to write and create your comic for a webtoon which
Mhm.
has no pages, right?
Yeah.
So how was that reformatting things? What was that like?
Yeah, it was, well, yeah, pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You now have to you have to decide, you have to find in the long scroll where the end of the page is.
Yeah.
So, and when I say page, I mean mostly double page spread. You can do it from page to page if you can, but not necessarily. Like, it's really to get them to turn the page. So I'd have to look through and go like, okay, it has to end there. And then I'll be like, all right, well, is there enough panels? Is there enough stuff happening on that spread that warrants that? And most of the time there was just a little bit of shuffling around. Sometimes I had to actually add in another panel that wasn't there previously, but that's fine. And sometimes it was culling out some panels that were unnecessary or maybe too many. So yeah, I was just like scrolling down saying, okay, that's the page turn. You can see it, stories have a natural kind of breathing to them in and out, so they were already there, but it wasn't a page turn. And when you make it a page turn, it really is like an exclamation point. It becomes a lot more clear. That's that last panel. Next thing, so it was a process. It took a very long time. And I'm looking forward to not doing that on the third book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Having those kind of like built in
The
because go on, Jake.
The trap I used to fall into with page turns was thinking that the page turn was a transition. And then I learned it's kind of better to transition scenes across a spread because you get to create a segue. And yeah, like Phil, you said it before, the last panel is the question, and then the page, the next panel on the next page is the answer. It's just constant question and answer.
Yeah. There's a few real quick, there's a few jump cuts in Psycho Slumber where you turn the page and we've gone further than I would think. Like we're right in the middle of an action scene, but where they've enacted the plan that they were maybe gonna do. I liked that a lot. That was fun, Phil. That was a good idea.
Oh, cool. Thanks, man. You have to point those out to me whenever. Because
I do transition from scene to scene with the page turn, but it's a different feeling. So from within a scene, so I like it to come to an end, but it's like asking a question. So like in one of them in Painted Death, Ella gives Damon the ring, and he's like holding it in his hand. You can see he's like sensing something somehow. You don't know how or why or whatever. And how the scene ends is he just said, "Your grandfather is hiding something from you." End.
Yeah.
So you do want to know what he's talking about, but now we're going to another scene. So you got that in the back of your mind, but now we're in another scene. And then when we come back, now we're going to find out what the hell he was talking about.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that's nice that you get the answers relatively soon rather than never telling people for ever. And they just wonder if you even know what
Well, you're also using that as like a emphasis on this is going to be important, kind of leave them with a spot.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason for having page turns is to keep readers reading.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can do that from page to page, but you can also do it throughout the story, especially if you've got like 100-page graphic novel. It's just page to page might eventually not be enough, and you need to have dropped enough things to keep people interested in the larger story, as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it helps with pacing a ton. Like it gets your reader through the book, and like that's how it was originally explained to me. Is you don't want them to put the book down. So these techniques are going to keep them turning the pages.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
all had both experiences where we're like, I'll read a few pages, I'll read 12 pages, and then you've all of a sudden you're like 120 pages in, and you're like,
Yeah,
I can't stop.
for sure.
And then other
Yeah.
ones where you're like, oh, you're checking the page number. How much longer is this going to go
Yeah.
on?
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Psycho Slumber was good with that too. And that was something I was kind of keeping track of, is like there are moments in it where it like levels up my interest.
Oh,
And
cool.
one of them is the last page of the first quote unquote issue. And it is just
Oh,
like a cliffhanger, but it's like she gets attacked by Krim right at the end and it's a big splash.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, gotta keep reading now. Like, that's
yeah,
cool. So that was the first one where I was like, little exclamation mark, like this is, I gotta keep reading. And then the other one is in issue 2. You have a fun side plot for 2 characters. They're each talking to a new character, and each new character is a suspect. And at that point, I was also hooked because I'm like, okay, got to find out which one of these guys is guilty.
sweet.
And so that was awesome. And then one of those guys, there's an emotional moment with one of them. So a little emotion. That was good,
Cool.
which is hard. Emotion's like kind of hard sometimes. You got to like almost force yourself, but
Yeah,
there's good that you hit that. And then there was one last one towards the end. So there's like five or six total, but they're like little like bombs where I'm like, gotta keep reading, gotta keep reading. But one of them was yeah, like a shadowy figure pushes someone down a well, and you're like, okay, there is like a betrayer, and it's
yeah,
one of the suspects, but I'm not sure which one. Got to keep reading. That's like pretty fun. That's like kind of basic, simple, but it's cool you did it, and that will create like a trust level. I've heard that kind of a thing that Tarantino talks about too, but there's sort of like a trust level between the author and the audience where you can build up that trust, and there's a point where they have max trust where they're just gonna like roll, and that's
yeah.
where you
It's
want to be.
cool, especially the page turn thing, and writing something like Psycho Slumber, which is like a slasher horror story, and utilizing the page turns as like jump scares in a film. And I tried to do that as much as possible in the story, and it was fairly new to me and kind of fun to kind of work those in there.
Yeah, it's cool to come at it with a concept like that, and it's like maybe it's been done before, maybe it hasn't. It doesn't matter. Like it's not like you're breaking new ground with the
Sure.
comics medium. It's like you just want to try this fun thing for your own interest. Even that's like pretty fun. I think
if you
I do that too a
take
little bit.
Vatican City and talk about like a kind of it's almost like a cliffhanger-esque type ending, but only just in the sense that, oh, I really want to know what the hell this is about, because without spoiling what it is, if he hadn't have included that reveal at the very end, you would have been like, oh, that was a cool, I like, vampires, and it's an
Yeah.
interesting setting, and it's a bit of a fun action, and there's crazy gore and stuff in it. Yeah, I'll read the next one. But now you're like, ooh, there's a whole extra sort of Da Vinci Code type level to this. Now there's like some long
Yeah, it raises the
history
stakes.
and
Like Pear was saying, like
Yeah,
it's like that bomb at the end. It's like,
yeah.
oh, now that's the thing
And
that's going to make you wait for the next issue.
if he had to put that at the start, then it would have been a different story, and then you would have been probably disappointed if you didn't see more of that in the first issue. And that's like a pacing thing. So that's why I thought it was a really good place to put it, right there on the final panel of the first issue.
yeah. The whole series does that really well. Where at the end of each issue is a big like escalating unfolding kind of thing where because that like you can classify twists, and like there's like literal plot twists, but there's also just like kind of unfolding revelations,
Yeah,
you know?
Revelations is a great
And
one.
then in the audience being like, this is in the interactivity of a book, but if the audience goes, oh, this changes everything, that
Mhm.
like that is the kind of thing that will make them recontextualize everything that's happened before. And it doesn't have to be a crazy twist. It can just be a simple kind of like additional information or whatever.
Yeah,
But
it's great.
yeah, so
Those
that's
Revelations,
definitely that kind of stuff is fun to
that's what
do
it's all
for me to
about.
play with
Yeah, I
people.
would like to get your take on how much interactivity was in Psycho Slumber one day.
Oh yeah, yeah, we
Interesting to
can
know.
look at that.
'Cause now that's
Yeah,
something consciously that I'm going to be thinking about.
um, Scott Snyder is talking about this now too on Twitter. Is I just follow him on Twitter, but he's like done multiple threads talking about the getting back to the fundamentals of comics, and a huge one for him is the ending being something that makes you can't wait for the next one, and discussing kind of with your friends while you're waiting, that kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah, that's huge, and it's so fundamental to comic books, but it's also something that I haven't really dealt with because I've never done, serialized monthly comics. It's different when you're writing or creating something as in like graphic novel form and crowdfunding it and not really
Yeah.
having that uh monthly grind.
Yeah, that's one thing that was cool about Psycho Slumber. It was page 22 was a splash, could be the end of an issue, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've thought that too. Like I started to try to force myself. I still can't get it down to 22 really, but I've
Mhm,
got it down to like 30 to 36 in that zone is like
mhm.
always can be one issue, even if it's a bigger graphic novel.
Yeah, I find myself writing a lot of the stuff that I'm writing now like that. So it's in kind of chunks that have a cliffhanger, and then the next chapter, like, you're saying like that Psycho Slumber thing. And even like I think about how the Lost Pages is connected, each of those volumes end with a soft cliffhanger that rolls into the next one to try to entice you. And even though I'm crowdfunding them, I'm trying to give the reader enough to chew on, so because they'll have a big weight and it's a self-contained story like The Lost Pages 3, but still have that like cliffhanger that leads into, number 4. So it's something
Yeah.
I still think about.
Yeah. Cool. What about, or do we already talk about that with you, Michael? That, yeah, because you do it as web comic. What do you think about the ending of issues, quote unquote, or is it more the flow of it is naturally there with the
I'm
graphic
thinking
novel?
about it a lot more now, but not really in a comic book format, like down to 22 pages or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am because I feel like the pacing of the story has already been established, and to kind of mess with it now might just mess with the story essentially. So I am still kind of giving myself a lot more leeway in terms of that, but the story gets more, more threads start getting interconnected and everything. So there's always going to be opportunity to have those moments of revelation, as you said, where
Yeah.
that will serve as a I really need to know what that is about kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm actually contemplating releasing the next book in parts digitally beforehand anyway, just
Mhm.
to sort of keep people in the loop. Because otherwise, it takes so long for me to get everything done. Everyone will just sort of forget. So, um, that might be, something that I will think about more. It's like, oh yeah, this little nugget that I'm giving, even though it's not necessarily a full story, if I write it in such a way that leaves people intrigued, they'll definitely come back to read the next digital release, and then eventually, they'll want to get the full story as an actual book. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I played around with that idea as well because Brandon's right or drawing the first chapter of Magic Cop 3. I'm like, should we just do it digitally and until all 4 chapters are done, and then crowdfund the full thing. And it's
Well,
like,
yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people have done that. A lot of people have released stuff free,
yeah,
page by page for
Yep.
years, and then gone on to crowdfund things.
it's huge
Uh,
successes.
Yeah, huge success. But you've got to be in a position where you can do that financially. I've got a job, so
Right.
I don't
Oh,
need
yeah.
the money from the crowdfund to live off at all. So I
Right.
can do that. So it's not going to be for everyone. But yeah, and and then some people will say, well, why would I read? Why would I buy what's already out? But I mean, that's kind of we've seen that proven time and time again. That doesn't really affect too much.
Mhm.
I think if you establish, especially like I think I've established a good reputation of the quality of the actual print. Especially with the
Yeah.
hardcovers and the UV spot and everything, it is worth buying into when it eventually does come out. But I don't want to make people wait years and years to sort of get the next installment when I have paced it like an ongoing webtoon. And that's been pointed out to me every single time I've opened myself up for critique.
Yeah.
That it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
it's a great
actually,
story, but it's it's a slow burn and there's a long time between. I'm gonna forget everything, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
yeah, that exact thing I've heard just with Earthbound, although I didn't ask for critique, so all they said was they're like, "Oh, I had to read the first one again before reading the second one." And I'm like, "Ideally, you wouldn't have to do that. Like, I don't even want to make you do that." So you got to really
Yeah,
get into it.
ideally not, but if there's, we're talking years between
Right.
each installment, I mean, how, like, no one is holding all that information.
Yeah, I mean, it's my fault. Yeah, because I'm being slow is why they have to do that.
Yeah,
It's like, if I
exactly,
speed it up,
exactly. So that's why I was thinking of doing it. And yeah, Maromi says depends on the price point. Yeah, I haven't thought any further than what I'm just sort of thinking out loud right now.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool.
And yes, sort of medium wrapping up here. We'll see. I'm looking for Alex VRB. I don't know if he has one this week.
Look, you just
Maybe.
did it.
Oh shit. Okay, it's a bit rushed, but Commandment Red X is up. You know what? I'm bummed now that Jake. I think Jake did run out of
Internet.
gigabytes or whatever for streaming. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we lost him, but he won't. They can see it later, or I'll
I'm
post it in the
probably
Twitter.
asleep.
But thanks, Alex. We'll look at it here in a second. So don't be a smartass. Don't smell your own farts. This is fun. I know one thing about it is I was thinking about advice you could give like someone kind of starting out writing or whatever. And it's something I remember being kind of paralyzed a lot by early on is you kind of want to tell like a quote unquote masterpiece. And there's so much freedom that comes when you're just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna tell a goddamn story. And and then I'm like, oh, that's like real writers do that. Nobody's like getting all up like, oh, this is gonna be like so majestic. A lot of like they kind of demystify it and don't put it on a pedestal. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's a lot. It flows easier, that kind of.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of setting up the
Oh, hey,
largest
Jake.
world the largest target you possibly can, because then that's kind of easy to hit. If you say your book is the next coming of friggin' Frank Miller and Alan Moore's love child or whatever,
Yeah.
you're setting yourself up with such a tiny target, and then when it inevitably falls short, then you just look like you have egg on your face, even though maybe you wrote a good story. I don't know, but it doesn't change the world.
Yeah.
You've just sort of done yourself a disservice there.
He says, folks don't pay good money to show for you to show off your college degrees. They want a good, fast-paced story and get out of the way and for you to get out of the way.
Actually, yeah, I noticed that with Jake, I'm gonna mute just for a second. Unmute if you need to say anything. I noticed that with some of the Vatican City reviews, like some of them were like, they're like, this is a badass comic, and that's like kind of all they said. And they're not talking about the writing, they're not talking about the art. They're just like they liked the comic. I'm like, I think that's more of a normie response, and it's kind of wholesome. I kind of liked it where they're not over analyzing, and even the writing. So like, if you imagine if they're not talking about the writing and they just say it's badass, that is like the full illusion almost in some ways that you just told them a story. They didn't even think about its creation. Like kids watching movies when they first find out that movies are made by people and have directors and writers, that's always a big revelation, you know. And that's when some kids will be like, I want to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
But when it's hitting and you don't even think about that stuff. And I was telling that to Jared, and he said they made him read an essay in college, and it was called like the glass. You guys might maybe have heard this. It's like a thing art students have to read, but it's called the Crystal Goblet, is what it's called, and it's basically like form follows function, but it's the idea that if you're drinking from the crystal goblet, that what you want is to drink water, and if you're noticing the crystal goblet, that's distracting from the water. So that's like kind of a different thing, you know what I mean? So anyone who loves comics will always be aware of the art and the writing, but that's a fun
yeah.
level of it too, where people are just kind of reacting to it like, did I like it? Did I not? Like, that was cool.
I see what
Did
you're
I-
saying. Yeah.
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 Like sometimes you get someone will give you an email or a response and saying, "Oh yeah, it was really cool," and you
Yeah.
do as someone who's poured everything you've got into it, you hope
Right.
for a little bit more, but then you
Uh-huh.
got to remember, no, that's what you want. Like something says, "Oh, that was it's really cool. I liked it," because most of the time you get nothing, and
Yeah.
that's
Right.
worse. And so you
Yeah.
would rather a little bit of negative feedback than nothing. But if you can get good feedback, like I liked it, it's really good. Yeah, it's awesome. Kick ass, that's like the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Michael Duche, a first reading is the experience. If you go back and read it again, analyzing it, it's a different experience. Yeah.
Oh, it loses some of the
Yes.
magic. It's interesting.
Um.
There you go.
Yes.
I
I'm waiting
I
for
have
VRB. He said he had to upload her. Alex, you can email it to me if you have my email. That could work.
he'd probably put it on
He's got
Twitter. Let
fax
me
it over.
here
What'd
share
you guys
this.
say?
This is something I saw today, which it touches on the first Jake Parker commandment, and this is by our good friend of the show, not really, Harry Partridge, Jake's
Friend of Jake.
old mate, and he
Yeah.
Is
says,
he British, Jake?
probably, yeah, Partridge.
Oh yeah.
He's under his table right now. Harry Partridge is under your table right now.
You can just nod or shake
no,
your
no,
head.
no. I thought Pam muted me. Yes, he's British, classically British. He's actually from Swindon, which is like just as
Swindon.
bad a place in England reputation-wise as Stoke. Yeah, he's from Swindon.
That's where
I
Carl
was there-
Benjamin is
I li-
from.
Yep, I lived there during my uni years as well. So,
Ooh, fancy.
Harry
Harry
Partridge.
Partridge.
Harry
Harry
Partridge.
Partridge.
So this is what he
Yeah.
said. He says, "Finish your creative project, accept its imperfections. An imperfect something is better than a perfect nothing." That's what he says.
That's
Should I
actually
capitalize
True
on
words are never spoken.
That's very well put for a Brit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not very eloquent people.
Bottle of water.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's great. I thought this was an amazing tweet. So I retweeted it. Get it done.
Cool. Do we have any promotion this week? Who's got something promoting? Number 69, number 2 from Jake. And number 3 and 4. He's releasing 4 different number 69s. So get those.
Promoting. No, I'm still fulfilling. I got more backers this week as well. So thank you guys to whoever backed. Those will be going out soon. And yeah,
I'm
Welcome,
promoting my
Mike.
mailing list. The Faction Mind, which I have to correct the URL. I misspelled it on my URL.
Manufactured.
The Lucent Fraction. Anyway, the lucentcomic.com. You can find the link to sign up to it over there. And,
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm going to do the who are those guys? Iconic Carmen America, where it's cheapest during campaign period, and then afterwards the price gets jacked up. But then also I'll send out like a coupon code for people who are signed up to the e-news, so they can get it even cheaper during campaign period. But then after that, it goes up. So you do want to be signed up.
I like
That's
that.
awesome. Yeah, sign up to all of our mailing lists. I know Pear has one too. Big Comics has one as well. Fiendish.
I do have a
Yeah.
cool thing to show off. But someone else will have to pull it up. If you now go to connellcomic.com, it will show something a little different. I don't know if Phil wants to
Here,
pull it
I'm gonna
up.
try
But yeah,
and do it.
Kickstarter coming soon with the high effort Kickstarter covers. I'm about to number 69 and number 1 of the Nippon special. Everything else is numbered in silver. Number 1 and 69 is in gold. And yes, for this show, I put together finally the first version of the Connell the Barbarian website.
Move your mouse
this
around,
is where
Pear.
it takes you at Connell Comic.
Oh, Woo.
I didn't know it did that. Why
You didn't
does
know?
Go do that? It never did that with me. That's funny.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it was like going all over the place, and I was looking at it.
Scroll down. Scroll down.
It's not supposed to do that. I didn't know.
How is that? I did not even know that was possible. With
Censored. It's censored.
Yeah, it's, you know what this gives me vibes, Jake. This is vibes like, it's like, can I have your attention now? Can I have your attention now? Hey, you gonna buy it? Gonna buy it? Hey, yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna buy it. You're gonna buy it. You're gonna sign up. You're gonna sign
Oh
up.
my gosh, that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
slap.
So it moves it when you click it on your.
It's
your
when you
mouse?
moves your mouse around. It's like moves the logo. I mean,
that is so funny.
I remember-
How did you do that?
well, I turned it on and then it didn't do anything. So I'm like, that's fine. I guess on some computers it works. So that's
Well done.
great. So yeah, you can go.
It does that
I'll
online.
expand. Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. I am about to number 69 in gold. I picked one of the nice ones because some of them are.
Don't make it look like a nipple this time.
I've been practicing my 8s and my 9s, so I'm gonna put the hash, and then a 6, and then a 9 that doesn't look like a nipple. And there we go. Number 69. 69. Come on, let's critique how I've written it. Is that okay? Does that look like
Looks
a
good.
2-year-old?
It looks like 59 a little bit.
No! So there you go, 69. And I'll do
Very
I'll do
clear.
number
That's
1.
the clarity we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'll do dash number 1. There we go. So I got number 1, and this is going to Alex, whose meme we're about to pull up. So there you go, number 1. I did it here on the show and here on the show floor.
And speaking of Mitch, I have the meme here. Let's see this.
Look at that. We're ghosts.
Is that Jake on the right?
It's
Um,
Mel Gibson.
What are we
Oh yeah,
doing?
that's
Dixon.
Chuck.
Right, I was like,
Oh, it's Chuck
why
Dixon.
does Jake look like it's
That's Chuck Dixon.
Chuck, Jake, Phil, Michael, and then Rini and Jake up here.
E.T. did an anime, a vacation of the photo of the screen, of just the screenshot. Hold on, wait till it
That's
loads.
hilarious.
Hold on.
Amazing.
We're having lag.
Look at that! Look at that!
Very cute.
Oh yeah, and then down here, Napoleon Bonaparte. He goes 60% ass, 40% titties. I'm your Huckleberry. And his name is Commanda Parte. I'm glad the Napoleon meme has lasted this far through everything, because that was like one of the worst shows we ever did. And it's
All the quotes. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Cool. Is Rini there? Can she read her quote?
Do you want to read you a bubble?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
It's
I'll
like
zoom
an
in.
American. It's
Yeah.
like an American con, except it's nicer. We have electricity. Oh my god.
I'm letting you look. Okay. It's okay. It's okay to write as if you like the smell of your own farts. If you have good smelling farts.
That's a classic.
Did you write that in your book, Phil? Phil, write that in your book.
Yeah.
And Michael, you're next.
She's insufferable. You got to tie them to a really likable character. There's a whole Da Vinci Code to this. That's how a child tells a story.
Nice. And then I want to comment to this, Jake. Jake, this is you in a parallel dimension. This is, I don't know if I like this comb over.
No, that's like old man Jewish skinny me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you
Sure,
when
that's
you.
got to be you, Per.
That's you when you go
who
to a
else would it
convent.
be?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Oh.
really did a number on your hair there, Per.
It's like
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like
that-
Morty's hair from Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Oh wait, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It looks like a YouTuber. There's some I can't remember his name. He's like an SJW YouTuber, and it looks like that.
To be fair, that doesn't look like me
Oh,
either.
for a second I would thought you
No,
meant the
not at
Bezos
all.
guy, the Havy.
That's funny because I was roasting it for a while and it was me the whole time.
I thought you were trying
Yeah,
to like
Jake's up
defer
there
any
with,
insulting
thing.
jokes.
Yeah. It's fucking Rocky Balboa posing for 2 pages. That's what makes me the best editor.
Good.
Good. I don't know if I could do my Doc Holliday voice. What's he say? I need a line to get into it.
I got 2 guns for you. I got 2 guns, one for each of you.
One for each of you. Wide Earp is my. I can't do it. Wide Earp is my friend. Hell, I got a lot of friends. I don't. Give him a hug. Give him huge cans. Yeah, I wish all my friends had huge cans, but
Okay. See what these say. I think they might just say the thing. Open strong, only essential dialogue, at least 3 pieces of action. Remember that someone has to draw. Find something you like about each character. Find something you like. Avoid redundancy. Don't describe what the reader can see. Every comic book is someone's first comic. The last panel of each page should make them turn the page. Don't be a smartass. There's old Chuck right there. That's a lot of fun.
Chuck.
This one is wholesome because Chuck is like an old man helping us, which is nice.
I hope Alex tagged Chuck in this post. I doubt that he did though. That'd be funny.
Oh yeah, if we could tag him
Yeah, Alex,
in the comments or something.
in your tweet, tag him for us, and then we get to not embarrass ourselves.
I started.
Yeah,
I'm only kidding.
I'll tag him. I don't give a shit.
He does. He
Fucking
does
tag
look
him.
the best out of everybody on this.
He looks the most like him.
Yeah.
He'll
Yeah,
be like, what the hell is all this? What the hell are they saying? He won't even understand.
and look at Phil's got the earring. That's fun.
Yeah, I built my own fantasy world.
Yeah, Phil, bring back the
You think that earring looks
Bigger
good there,
and bloodier.
Phil?
So I
It does look good. Well, it looks funny.
Yeah, when all
Yeah,
It
I've had a
looks
lot of
like you
people
had
tell
a
me.
necklace with the cross on it that somehow got flung over your ear.
Phil actually looks really Australian there. Like that's a really Australian face.
Yeah. Michael,
Yeah.
two men came into the arcade yesterday while I was covering for a coworker.
And then one
And-
came out.
No,
Oh, where-
they both came in, and before the guy started talking, I'm like, this guy looks Australian to me. And he
Mhm.
was. Both of them were from
Yeah.
Australia.
I can pick it every time. It's crazy.
And I think it's from hanging out with you guys. I could tell the Australian gene.
I'll see videos and not hear any sound, and I'll be
Yeah.
like, she's Australian.
Yeah.
And almost every time it's right. And it's when you're overseas in Europe. He's got the kangaroo ball earring.
Yeah, yeah.
Jake,
look at
did you
this.
see that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's laughing.
Like you'll see someone and you go like, they're Australian, and then you'll hear it. It's my friend has a theory that it's got to do with our mouths because we don't move our mouths when we talk, and how you talk affects the shape of your mouth. And you'll see
Interesting.
old Australians that don't even have lips. They're like this, like that. And say in Germany, they do a lot of this when they're talking. They're like like that.
Yeah.
And their lips, literally, when they're just standing there, poke out. So
Huh.
even though they're like the same, they look, just like a regular white guy. I'm like, that's a German, that's an Aussie, that's a Frenchman. I don't know if I'm 100% on the theory, but you can definitely pick it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I like
I was
that.
proud. I was proud of myself when I picked them out.
Cool.
Where in Australia was he from? Did you
I didn't
talk to
ask.
him?
He just said
Kinda
Australia.
Did he sound like me, or did he sound like Risey?
Well, he didn't sound drunk off his. If that's what you want.
He wasn't belligerent.
Yeah,
He wasn't
not
throwing
yelling at me.
phones and punching people.
No. I don't remember. I think he sounded more like you. I wanted to ask, but then I'm like, oh, I don't even know where Bancroft's from, and I'm like,
I'm from Melbourne in the south, so
Rob
something
always
like-
said you were like raised with a Gold Coast spoon in your mouth, so I'm like, I wanted to.
I was raised in Queensland. Well, I was born in Queensland, lived there for until 8 or something, and then I moved down to the south. Most people in Australia live in either Melbourne, Sydney, or Brisbane, which is on the east coast from the middle down to the south. It's like 80% of people or something.
Mm-hmm. And then the rest is like they call it what do they call it? The bush.
The bush. Well, there's other cities, but they're just smaller, and they're more remote. And Perth is the most remote capital city in the world because there's nothing on to the east. It's just all of Australia, and then to the west is the Indian Ocean.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I'd like to know more, but it's all fake, so it doesn't matter.
There's some
Well,
new
you know
horror.
it's upside down. So the north
that's
is
funny.
warm and tropical. The south is cold and temperate. And it's summer during Christmas.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. That's cool.
We're upside
There's
down.
a new horror movie that takes place in colonial Australia. That looks pretty good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I saw what was that? There was like this Western movie, but it took place in Australia during cowboy
Was
time.
it called Australia?
No, it was a Guy Ritchie movie.
Guy
Oh,
Ritchie made
I never watched that. What is that?
he made
Guy
a Western
Ritchie,
Australia movie.
Western. Yeah, it's like a Western. It's about him and his brother are outlaws.
Oh, is it Ned Kelly? Did he make a Ned Kelly movie?
No. Am I thinking of Guy Ritchie? No. Who's the other guy? Not Guy Fawkes.
Guy Pearce?
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
Oh, he's Australian.
Yes, Guy Pearce
Yeah.
Western. It's called The Proposition.
Oh yeah, that's old. That's good
yes.
though. Yeah.
2005.
Yeah,
Takes place
and
in
that's
Australia.
written by Nick Cave, who's like a musician. So
Yeah, we love Nick Cave. He's the Red Right Hand Man.
yeah.
You know that song?
No.
No,
It's they used it for the intro to Peaky Blinders.
Oh, cool.
It's got a very recognizable hook. This is just about bushrangers. Yeah, bushrangers were just people who kind of lived outside the law in the bush during colonial times, and they've sort of become a bit like a cowboy, a bit like an outlaw.
Yeah.
A bit of a folk hero. And the most famous one is Ned Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Heath Ledger movie about him, and he was famous because he covered him and his gang, the Kelly gang, covered their whole bodies in iron that they stole.
Right.
So they were like knights in iron armor, getting into gunfights with the police.
Yeah, The Proposition was good. The basic premise is 3 brothers are outlaws. the biggest outlaw killer lives in the bush with Aborigines now and his gang, and then the two younger brothers get arrested, and they say, "We're gonna kill your youngest brother if you don't go and get us your older brother," and basically kill him. So he has to choose one.
Oh, Sophie's Choice.
Yeah.
Nice. I've never
Good.
seen that one, but yeah, never seen Sophie's Choice, but I know. All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap up here.
Yeah, what Jake and Irene are just leaving now?
Yeah,
it's a
Jake,
2-hour
unmute,
time? What's
unmute,
going
and
on?
say something.
Okay. Yeah. What I'll say is, it's been fun being on the show and hardly being on it. But a quick note about these: number 1 and 69 come with a full set of the 3 mini prints. That's it.
Nice.
So Alex,
Cool. And there's
whoever-
two 69s. Remember that, everyone. Yes.
There's 5 69s. There's 22 69s. There's 69
Yeah.
69.
Wait,
Yeah.
You got to get the 69th number 69. Then you're good.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate one. Jake, is the con over? What's going on? I feel like you guys are leaving. You getting arrested?
No, it goes until 7, and it's like 2 p.m. ish.
Okay, that's way too much.
Okay.
How are the sales over there? Are there lots of people and
I think it's just slow at the beginning. It was raining today, and yeah, I don't see many people selling just early on. It's like the morning of the first day.
yeah, right. I was worried about the language thing. Like, does everyone speak English there, or?
No, they don't. And I genuinely do think it would be good to table with a native speaker, because that probably would be a big help. Like, I've tried to talk to a couple of people and it just hasn't worked. So, but as soon as I'm done with this, maybe I can like stand up and just start doing the sign language. He goes super style, stuff like that.
Yeah, because when you go to a market in Asia, you just sort of point at what you want, and then they hold up a calculator and they just type in a number and you go. But if it's a comic, usually there'd be a lot more sort of what it's about, sort of, and you can't really do that with a calculator. So
You give them the book to.
I'll show the whole story on a calculator.
Just type in boobs.
Boobless, yeah.
How is the venue size comparatively to like a New York Comic Con or Heroes? Like con floor wise,
It's not tiny. Artist Alley maybe a third the size of New York Artist Alley if it's just this. But there's like this building, and there's 2 other buildings that have like the other stuff in them, like the guests and everything. But yeah, so definitely not as big as. But this is Osaka, and then there's Tokyo Comic Con. I imagine Tokyo would probably be just as big as New York. Osaka's like further up north, I think.
Are there any other Are there any other white devils there, or is it all Japanese?
Too many. Too many white devils.
So you're not like a novelty or anything?
Plenty of it. Well, Osaka is kind of like a bit of a more socially open area anyway, so I think there's more foreigners here than other parts of Japan. And yeah, whenever you see them on the subway, you're like, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. But like, because of all the nuisance streamer stuff, and like Johnny Somali getting hopefully imprisoned for 1 million years in South Korea, like, xenophobia totally up. Which is fine. It's like, you gotta look after your country.
You don't look like you're gonna get into any spot.
No.
Yeah, you should be fine.
I look very different, especially when Irene kind of like fits in. You know what's funny? You'll see other people where it's like an Asian person and a Westerner, and you're like, ha!
It's right there.
See them every now and again.
It's normal.
But
but then they find out she's not Japanese, and they hate her even more.
Oh yeah.
Faco
That's
discount,
true.
like made in China Japanese.
Now I know what the Japanese are talking about. Yeah.
It's kind of
Makes sense.
painful to just jump into it.
Well, that's
Yeah,
cool.
hopefully-
you gotta take
hopefully-
lots of pictures.
Yes. I try. Yeah, I have taken more. I showed off the ones that were the most fun. But yeah, I hope I hope the audience has enjoyed us being here from the show floor, even though it was probably loud. I hope I managed to contribute and not just say a load of nonsense. But yeah,
No, it
I'm
was
glad
good.
Bancroft came on to even it out.
Me too. I see that pair tweeted at Chuck Dixon.
Yeah, yeah. Why not? We talked about his 10 commandments. He doesn't know who I am though because I keep changing my name. He might know me if I'm Narwhal, but I
was on a
'cause, you know,
stream with
I
him
worked
not too long
with
ago,
them and I
I'm sure he
emailed
wouldn't
him a
even
little
know
bit.
who I am.
What? Oh yeah.
That's funny.
He should know who we all are. He will one day.
Like Graham Nolan. What's a Bancroft? You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he follows me, which I thought was cool recently.
Nice. That's good.
Sometime.
Maybe he knows who you are. Then.
Nah.
He doesn't follow me. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe he
Who is followed by Chuck Dixon wins? Ready, set, go. Phil.
I'm followed by him.
Nice.
I gotta check. I don't even know if I'm following him.
Wow. It's was it Dixon Verse?
I am following him, and he is not following me.
Did he really say that once? He said, "What's a Bancroft?"
No,
Graham
that was,
Nolan?
that was great.
Oh God, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I had Graham Nolan was on a mail-in stream once, and people were talking about Bancroft in the chat, and Nolan says, "What's a Bancroft?" And it became a thing, and this was 2 days after he did an hour-long show on my channel.
Oh, that's
Like,
a little annoying.
I didn't put two and two together. You know?
That's funny.
So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna click the button here in a second, so everyone can hang out a little bit. We'll chat behind the scenes for a second, but
Yeah, I'll be streaming tomorrow. Brandon's back in the studio, so we'll see you then.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks everyone for being here. Alex, thanks for a great meme. Slim Crow, Ellie Munoz, everyone. Del A. Just scrolling up a little bit. Popping Rico. Thanks, guys. Maromi. So yes, Jose, thank you for being here. Jose. Okay, I'm gonna click the button, and that means we're going to end the stream. I click it.